Chapter 3166. Against the enemy. Brother Ling, let me help you. Suddenly, two figures flew up from the ground. They were Yu and the others. My dear disciple, I'm your family too. Xing Shiyun also flew up. Next was the Tantric Masters. Lin Ling's eyes narrowed and his heart warmed. He said, Master, I'm sorry for dragging you into this. Idiot, do you think the spirit state will be fine if we don't help? As a matter of fact, the war between the spirit state and the heaven court was inevitable the moment the heaven court arrived. Xing Shiyun came to Lin Ling's side and said with a smile. At this moment, he was even more like Lin Ling's master. Although he couldn't stop the iron hooves of the heavenly court, when the wind and waves came, he held up the flag and blocked a piece of the sky. Realm Monarch, will help you too. At the same time, loud voices came from the spirit state. All the cultivators looked at the young man in the sky and decided to fight alongside him. Lin Ling glanced at the land and his eyes flickered. He didn't stay in the spirit state for long, but the whole spirit state treated him like their own son. They took care of him and never asked for anything in return. Lin Ling swore that if he failed today, even if he died, he wouldn't drag the spirit state into this. So many people want to die. Lord Martial God, please allow us to fight. Seeing the cultivators of the spirit state joining the battle, the heaven court side also exploded with battle intent. Go! Martial God Qilin waved his hand and looked at Lin Ling meaningfully. This was a war without any suspense. He didn't know what Lin Ling was trying to do. In fact, that was what everyone was thinking. Kill. Countless heaven court cultivators moved out and unleashed a ferocious aura. There were half-saints and saints among them. Although the spirit state was strong, there weren't many saints. Apart from the Tantric sect, the rest were the saints of the Azure Dragon Hall. However, there were less than 100 saints in total. Therefore, fighting against the heaven court was like trying to break a rock with eggs. Why do we need Lord Martial God to take action? We can slaughter all of you. The first person who rushed towards Lin Ling was actually the old man who had escaped from Lin Ling's hands last time. Hee, not bad. Let's see who kills more. The other heavenly court experts also sneered. They actually treated this war as a game, a one-sided slaughter game. Seeing this, the spirit state's powerful individuals became serious. They were prepared to explode with all of their strength and fight to the death. It's not our turn to deal with these kittens and puppies. However, at this moment, Lin Ling took a step forward. A huge dragon bow appeared in his hand. He raised his head and shot an arrow toward the north of the spirit province. Light God, heed my command. Summon the infinite and kill the enemy with me. This arrow was like the will of the heavens. To the north of the spirit province, a blinding light exploded. Countless arrows of light shot over in a mighty manner. At this moment, the entire spirit province was shaken. The array was activated. Whoosh! Whoosh! The arrows of light were so terrifying that they could kill gods and Buddhas in their way. In just one exchange, more than half of the half-saints who had rushed out from the heavenly court were killed. The old man who had rushed out the fastest did not even have the chance to cry out in pain before he was killed by the arrows of light. Perhaps he only had one thought before he died. I shouldn't have taken the lead. What kind of technique is that? He killed a half-saint with one attack? The people in the distance were shocked. They did not expect the spirit province to have such a strong resistance. The ancient array of the gods, the light god ancient array. Even martial god Qilin's expression changed slightly. He did not expect Lin Ling to know the ancient array from the era of the gods. You have a good eye. At the same time, Lin Ling said calmly. I, martial god Qilin, know everything about the world. Is there anything that I don't know? Although your array is powerful, it's as easy as flipping my hand if I want to break it. Martial God Qilin said disdainfully and waved his hand again. Kill. More and more Heavenly Court's experts moved out. This time, most of them were saints. The people also looked at Lin Ling, wondering how the young realm monarch would deal with the second wave of attacks from the Heavenly Court. I only need to move my feet, and the 9 provinces will tremble. However, Lin Ling placed his hands behind his back and lightly stomped on the ground with his right foot. Rumble. To the west of the Spirit Province, endless flames surged out like tidal waves. This was the godly fire. Its aura was so strong that it even stopped breathing. The flames seemed slow, but in the blink of an eye, they appeared in front of everyone's eyes and burned everything. What kind of fire is this? The Heavenly Court's saints exclaimed. The fire from the era of the gods. You actually obtained a wisp of fire left behind by the infernal god during the battle. This is the light god ancient array. Martial God Qilin frowned upon seeing this. You know a lot, but so what? Lin Ling smirked and waved his left hand again. Walala. As he waved his hand, a gust of wind rose. A storm came from the south of the Spirit Province. It was the godly wind that could blow away one's essence. The Heavenly Court's second wave of attacks was immediately defeated. The saints' faces changed drastically. They were almost unable to withstand the impact of the wind and fire. Heavenly Court, move out. Martial God Qilin remained expressionless. He waved his right hand as well. He didn't believe that a mere spirit province could stop him. More Heavenly Court's experts moved out. Almost half of them had joined the battle. There were even many peak saints that joined the battle. This force was so strong that it could sweep through the entire 9 provinces, let alone the myriad of worlds. Even Lin Ling was shocked. The Heavenly Court had been established for so long that it was beyond his imagination. Mountains, like the West, suppress the ages. But soon, Lin Ling waved his right hand again. The earth trembled. Countless ancient mountains appeared out of nowhere and rained down on the Heavenly Court's experts like meteors. This power was the power of the gods. Another godly barrier formation. Martial God Qilin's face turned serious when he saw Lin Ling controlling the wind and clouds with a wave of his hand. He had underestimated this kid. It turned out that he was a powerful barrier master. However, no matter how powerful a barrier was, it couldn't withstand a powerful force. Move out. Martial God Qilin said coldly. 2/3 of the Heavenly Court's experts had moved out. Everyone's expression changed drastically. They didn't expect the seemingly weak Spirit Province to be so powerful that it could almost clash with the entire Heavenly Court. Even 9 Lantern Fish and Lu Chen were shocked. Martial God Qilin, don't you know a lot? Let's see what's next. Seeing that almost all of the Heavenly Court's experts had moved out, Lin Ling roared again and opened his arms. Stone, only I can use it. Impart it to me. Eugene, only the Supreme, I can't stop. As he opened his arms, the Spirit Province began to change. It turned into the era of gods. Everyone trembled. They saw an ancient aura from the era of gods spreading out. They saw all kinds of powers from the era of gods. Chapter 3167. The 6 soldiers and 6 armors obliterated the martial ancestor. What? Martial God Qilin also exclaimed. He was already surprised that Lin Ling had set up an ancient divine barrier, but who knew that Lin Ling had set up more than one? Don't you know everything about the gods and the universe? Why are you so surprised now? Lin Ling's long hair fluttered in the wind as he stared coldly at Martial God Qilin. Martial God Qilin frowned and remained silent. Because for a moment, he couldn't see through all of Lin Ling's array formations. On the other hand, there were countless casualties in the heavenly court. All the half-saint realm cultivators had perished, and a third of the saint realm experts had perished as well. This Buddha slaughtering array was truly terrifying. Can we really go against the heavenly court? The Vajrayana and the others were trembling with fear. The scene before their eyes had far exceeded their imaginations. Martial ancestors, all of you, break the formation with brute force. However, martial god Qilin launched his final attack and summoned the martial progenitor. As for the heavenly court's martial ancestor realm experts, there were more than 1,000 of them. Defeated, we're definitely going to lose this time. Although Lin Ling's divine array was shocking, what happened next made many people shake their heads. Martial ancestor, that was an unimaginable realm. It could be said that any martial ancestor was strong enough to become the god emperor of the 9 prefectures. Martial ancestor. On the tantric sect side, the faces of the experts turned pale. They knew that without Lin Ling's formation, a single martial progenitor could easily slaughter them all. It doesn't matter what kind of formation it is, or what kind of god power it is, Yang Qi said. In primal chaos, strength is everything. You can call the wind and summon the rain, and change everything. Lin Ling, watch as the heavenly court destroys your formation. Martial god Qilin let out a roar after the martial progenitor realm experts made their move. So what if you're a martial ancestor? If you enter my, Lin Ling's, territory, even a god will die. However, Lin Ling raised his foot high and stomped down heavily. 6 soldiers, 6 armor. Rumble. Terrifying whirlpools appeared in the sky and swept out from the ground. The ancient Noah's divine ark appeared and swam majestically. Then, its surface began to peel off and turned into countless golden stones. It actually shot towards Lord Tantric and the others. Lin Ling, what is this? The expressions of the Tantric sages changed as they asked anxiously. There's no need to panic. I've cast the Godboat's defense on you. This is the Wuxia god. Go and fight. Lin Ling looked straight ahead and said calmly. Ka ka ka. The golden rocks shot over and eventually turned into ancient golden armor on the bodies of the Tantric sect masters. Each armor was covered with complicated enchantments and had a terrifying defense. Dragon emerges, defying heaven and earth, 6 weapons appear. This wasn't the end. Lin Ling's hands flew, and he instantly unleashed 1 billion enchantments. Moreover, he didn't stop there. Looking at Lin Ling's unpredictable movements, all the cultivators in the 9 provinces had their horizons broadened. Never would I have expected that child to possess such frightening world spirit techniques. Could it be that his backer is God Miao's true inheritance? An old man said solemnly. To be able to fight against the heavenly court with the strength of a half-sage for such a long time, who else in the 9 provinces could do it? Die. However, the heavenly court's martial ancestors were confident in their strength and were not afraid of Lin Ling at all. However, a gigantic dragon's soul began to appear in the sky. The dragon circled around the spirit province and sprinkled down endless light. What's going on? My power. Oh no, I feel weaker and weaker. Leave this place. The martial progenitor realm experts soon blurted out in shock. Their cultivation levels were continuously suppressed, and they were also absorbed by a mysterious power and disappeared from the spirit province. They discovered that as long as they stepped into the spirit province, the mysterious power would exist. On the Tantric sect side, many of them were wearing the Wuxia god armor. However, they soon felt a powerful force being born. Those who were originally saints instantly reached the peak of the saint stage. He was originally a half-step saint realm expert, but he had reached the saint realm. This caused all of them to be greatly shocked. Let's fight. On the other hand, Lin Ling was used to it because this was the power of the ancient formation of 6 soldiers and 6 armor gods. It could forcibly steal the enemy's strength and enhance it on its own people. Moreover, the foundation of this formation was the ancient tree of Panyu Mountain, which could provide endless vitality. As for the core of the formation, it was Noah's Ark, which also provided an extremely strong defense. In other words, in order to set up the ancient formation of gods, Lin Ling had spent all his time and treasures. Of course, although the formation was powerful, it also had a flaw. That was the continuous consumption of royal crystals, and the consumption was extremely large. Moreover, it would take a month to deactivate the formation and activate it again. This was also the reason why Lin Ling had come so late. Kill. Ha, ha ha ha, I've become a saint. Let's fight. The tantric sect's people were filled with fighting spirit, especially Yu, Sakura, and the others. Their blood was boiling. This was because they had become saints. Although this was only temporary, it was enough for them to test out this powerful force. Hong Long Long. On the other hand, the Heaven Court's experts were greatly weakened. After the tantric sect's experts made their move, they were immediately defeated, and their cries filled the sky. This was especially true for those martial ancestor-level experts. They were the most furious. Since when had they ever been chased by a saint-level expert? Time slowly passed, and blood continued to rain down from the sky. The Heaven Court's experts were also decreasing. No one had thought that this one-sided slaughter would take a 180-degree turn, and they were being slaughtered instead. Martial God Qilin, you know the gods above and the universe below. Can you see through my formation? Lin Ling placed his hands behind his back and looked at martial God Qilin calmly. He did not participate in the battle, as if he was the real realm monarch fighting against the Heaven Court strongest. How is this possible? Martial God Qilin shook his head. He couldn't understand these formations at all. After all, he had obtained most of ghost genius Li Xiaoyao's heritage. How could there be anything in the 9 continents that he didn't know? In front of me, you are just a country bumpkin. Lin Ling said again. His words were well deserved. No matter how many things martial God Qilin knew, they were all taught by Li Xiaoyao. Now that the real Li Xiaoyao was here, how could martial God Qilin compete with him? Let me tell you, this is the 9 gods' ancient Su array. It summons the power of the 9 gods from the era of gods to cross the endless time and space to kill the enemies. Lin Ling's voice was like thunder, shaking the Heaven Court, the 9 continents, and martial God Qilin. Summon the power of the 9 gods from the era of gods to cross the endless time and space? What a mysterious formation. An old man in the 9 continents mumbled to himself. To be able to summon the power of the gods from the dead time, this was already the means of the gods. Lord Martial God, save me. Meanwhile, the Heaven Court's experts in the formation were dwindling. They cried out weakly, begging for martial God Qilin's help. Alright, thank you for opening my eyes. I'm even more curious about your background now. I will know who you are. Chapter 3168. What a terrifying martial god expert. The demeanor of a martial god was not to be humiliated. No matter what kind of divine formation it was, it would definitely not be able to stop the martial god. This scene also made the experts of the 9 regions look forward to it. Bang! Martial god Qilin didn't do anything, but he appeared in the middle of the formation in just a single step. He raised his eyebrows and summoned countless giant drums behind him. At this moment, he was like a god of thunder. Selfless thunder god physique. Lin Ling's eyes also became serious. He knew very well that it was an existence similar to the ultimate desolate body. Without me, there was no heaven, and all things were indestructible. This kind of powerful talent was also cultivated by Li Xiaoyao in the past. However, he later obtained the primal chaos divine formula, so he gave up on this powerful lightning body. Swoosh! martial god Qilin swung his arm and a lightning saber appeared. The chaos in the universe was cut open and the sky above the spirit state was torn apart. Rumble. The 9 ancient gods' formation began to tremble, and the formation became unstable. So strong. The expressions of the Vajrayana sect's masters changed drastically. Previously, the martial progenitors had joined the battle, but they were unable to break the formation. However, as soon as martial god Qilin arrived, he was able to shatter the formation with a casual strike. All of you, move out. With Noah's Ark, you will not die. Lin Ling's expression was unprecedentedly serious. Good. Master Tantra and the others immediately pounced on martial god Qilin. At this moment, martial god Qilin was like a giant. His long hair and robes had turned into lightning. It was as if he was looking down on the world. Die, you ants! The thunder drum behind him sounded, as if it was summoning 10,000 bolts of lightning. Pop! Pop! Before Lord Tantra and the others could even get close, they were swept away by the terrifying lightning and were all sent flying. If not for the fact that they were wearing the armor of the god of 6 armors, they would have been killed instantly. Although martial god Qilin's attacks seemed to have landed on Tantra and the others, they actually landed on Noah's divine ark, causing the ancient divine ark to sway. Therefore, when the tantric sages saw that he was safe and sound, they rushed forward again. 6 gods Gusu. At the same time, Lin Ling also pushed the formation to the limit. All kinds of forces, including the masters of the tantric Buddhism, were suppressing martial god Qilin. Rumble. The sound was deafening, and the entire 9 prefectures seemed to be shaken by it. Martial god Qilin was also engulfed by all kinds of powerful energies. The crowd was astonished. Was the martial god going to die today? This brat really has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. The 9 lantern fish, Lu Chen, and the others all smiled excitedly and looked forward to it. The remaining members of the heavenly court were all pale and shaking their heads as if they could not believe what they were seeing. Is this your trump card? Too weak. However, at this moment, heaven and earth exploded, and ferocious lightning erupted. Swords of lightning shot out, piercing through the void and deeply embedded themselves into Noah's divine ark. Then, a giant covered in lightning appeared. It was martial god Qilin. At this moment, he had truly become the god of thunder. He was telling everyone what it meant to be a god. No way, the power that can kill endless martial progenitor has no effect on martial god Qilin. At this moment, everyone could be said to be shocked and they saw martial god Qilin descend once more. If you think you can defeat him with this trick, then you should wake up from your dream, myriad lightning. Martial god Qilin roared again. Endless lightning rain smashed down from the sky, causing the array to sway and continue to shatter. Looking at the Noah's divine ark again, the heart of the array was also cracked. Even the ancient ark left behind by a god could not stop martial god Qilin's attack. The swords of lightning were like awls that kept piercing into the divine Arkansas. Some of them were cutting out large amounts of golden stones. Even the divine ark can't stop it. As for the masters of the Tantra sect, they were all swept away by the lightning storm and were sent flying. However, they could not care less about themselves. Instead, they looked ahead in shock. Endless lightning continued to destroy God's ancient array. It seemed that it was only a matter of time before the huge God's ancient array was broken. Brother Ling, hurry up and do something. Yu Yu hurriedly looked at Lin Ling and shouted worriedly. They were able to fight against the heaven court because of God's ancient array. If the ancient array was broken, even a martial ancestor could slaughter them, let alone martial god Qilin. Now you know fear. Lord Martial God, breaking the array with brute force, mighty and mighty. The remaining heaven court cultivators' morale was greatly boosted. They could not help but roar at the sky. Rumble. Ka ka ka. The ancient array was like a city wall that continued to collapse. However, Lin Ling stood on the same spot with a solemn expression. He did not say a word. Instead, he kept forming barriers with his hands. From the looks of it, he seemed to be constantly repairing the spirit formation. However, compared to martial god Qilin's destruction, his repairing speed was like a drop in the ocean. This made the people shake their heads regretfully. They knew that the situation was hopeless. What a pity. If the realm monarch did not offend the martial god, he would have been able to break the array with just a few people in the 9 prefectures. However, the martial god is still stronger than the godly array. No matter what, today's battle will spread across the 9 prefectures. Many people sighed and said. This battle had obviously exceeded their expectations, and it had even greatly broadened their horizons. Rumble. The ancient array was still collapsing. Heaven and earth seemed to be shrinking, allowing the tantric sect cultivators to get closer to Lin Ling. Run. Let's see where you can run to. Seeing this, the heaven court cultivators became even more arrogant. They looked at martial god Qilin again. He had a cold smile on his face as he continued to attack the array with all his might. As for the boundaries that Lin Ling kept casting, the effect was getting weaker and weaker. In the end, the array was only 1,000 miles wide. It was filled with people from the spirit state. Like a trapped beast, death was only a matter of an instant. I will kill everyone in the spirit state. Then, I will know where you came from. Martial god Qilin said indifferently as he looked at Lin Ling and the others who were powerless to fight back. As soon as he finished speaking, he reached out his hand. Endless thunder roared as a thunderstorm flooded the spirit state. Sigh, we can't escape in the end. The tantric sect cultivators let out a long sigh as they looked at the terrifying thunder outside the array. But it's enough. At least I've killed a lot of people from the heaven court. Xing Xiaoyun laughed in an extremely heroic manner. You're right. I've also killed 2 martial progenitors. The tantric sect cultivators laughed when they heard this. Then, the 4 heavenly kings looked at each other and could not help but laugh as well. Then, the martial artists of the spirit state also laughed loudly. Although they were all going to die. At least they had killed almost 80% of the heaven court's elites. It was enough to be proud of. Ha ha ha. The laughter continued to spread, causing the people in the distance to tremble. At the same time, the heaven court cultivators were enraged. These damned ants. As for martial god Qilin, his face turned cold. Keep laughing, I'll make sure you won't be able to laugh anymore. He immediately urged his lightning to become even more ferocious. He was going to sweep away these damned ants. Let's go out and fight. It's better to die in battle than to wait for death. After laughing, the tantric sect cultivators began to prepare for the final battle of their lives. Wait. Chapter 3169. The Final Blow. At this moment, the tantric sages looked at Lin Ling, not understanding why Lin Ling stopped them. Martial god Qilin was also looking at Lin Ling, but the sneer on his face deepened. Was Lin Ling finally going to reveal his identity before his death? As for the martial artists of the 9 prefectures, they also believed that the situation was hopeless. Perhaps Lin Ling wanted to beg for mercy. Under countless gazes, Lin Ling's expression was unprecedentedly solemn. A few words floated out of his mouth. The spell formation isn't over yet. As soon as he said that, the expressions of the tantric masters changed drastically. It hasn't ended yet? Martial god Qilin frowned as well. The formation had been shattered by him, but Lin Ling said that it wasn't over yet? This must be a lie. That's right, Lin Ling was setting up a smoke bomb and looking for an opportunity to escape. A thought flashed through martial god Qilin's mind. This was not because he was looking down on Lin Ling, but because no matter how powerful a formation was, there was still a limit. A formation that could threaten the martial god level was rarely seen in the current 9 prefectures, and it only appeared in the era of the gods. Just as he was about to speak, Lin Ling's howl had already rung out. The great array of the 9 gods, the final formation, the chief god returns. Lin Ling raised his arm high. His eyes were filled with the flames of revenge. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. In truth, all the previous attacks had been for this moment. It could even be said that this was the true 9 ancient Su gods array. This was using lightning to break lightning. Lin Ling was aiming for martial god Qilin's innate talent and skill. The more martial god Qilin attacked the formation, the more lightning energy the formation would absorb. The sky suddenly quieted down, and an oppressive aura filled the air. The array formation that was originally 1,000 miles wide began to emit cracking sounds, and it actually began to spread out like dark clouds. The array formation began to recover. What? Everyone was aware of this scene, and their eyes were wide open. Could it be that Lin Ling still had a final attack? Even martial god Qilin sensed the danger. After all, he had turned a blind eye to everything after entering the god formation, but this time, he finally felt a chill in his heart. What the hell is this? Rumble. The thunderstorm in the spirit continent began to change. It was gathering toward Lin Ling. It was no longer under martial god Qilin's control. Whoosh! Whoosh! At the same time, the ancient swords that were constantly cutting Noah's divine arc shot out and hovered above Lin Ling's head. Could it be? Martial god Qilin began to speculate when he saw this. Could it be that the entire formation was a trap? Everything was set up so that martial god Qilin could unleash his full strength to attack the formation, and in the end, the formation would absorb all of martial god Qilin's strength and give him a fatal blow. 9 deities, 9 deities. That's right, not all 9 deities had descended in the previous spell formation. There was still one deity hiding. Martial god Qilin finally collected his thoughts. He looked at Lin Ling sternly as if the young man in the distance knew everything about him, including his weaknesses and strengths. At that instant, he was even more eager to know who Lin Ling was. You can die now. Meanwhile, the lightning in the sky finally gathered and turned into a giant lightning pillar. A large number of swords were weaving in and out of the lightning. As Lin Ling pointed his finger forward, the lightning pillar shot toward martial god Qilin. The lightning pillar was like the tribulation of gods. Show me the final attack of the god formation. Martial god Qilin's eyes squinted. Lightning roared and spun wildly around his body. He disappeared on the spot and turned into a bolt of lightning that collided with the dazzling lightning pillar. Crack! Crack! However, martial god Qilin soon realized that something was not right. It was fine if he did not make his move, but as soon as he made his move, all of his lightning energy was absorbed. On the other hand, the lightning pillar in the distance grew bigger. It was like the lightning of God's punishment was descending toward him. Before it even got close, martial god Qilin spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned extremely pale. This array formation was indeed designed to restrain him, and it was an all-around restraint. Retreat! Retreat! Martial god Qilin immediately let out a roar and tried to leave the array. It's too late to leave now. Retreat! Lin Ling's body was also filled with electric snakes and thunder, but his fighting spirit was boiling. The grudges of 2 lifetimes, the fetters of 2 lifetimes, were finally coming to an end at this moment. As for the martial artists of 9 prefectures, they felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Was he going to destroy the god today? Ah! Retreat! In the next moment, the crowd saw martial god Qilin being entangled by the lightning pillar and crying out in pain. Drops of blood fell from the sky, but they were soon swept away by the lightning. It seemed like it was only a matter of time before martial god Qilin died. This was the real god-slaying strike. The selfless lightning god physique, no self, no heaven. However, it was obviously suppressed by Lin Ling. This was because Lin Ling was very familiar with the weakness of this talent. The best way to defeat it was to fight poison with poison. Father, be careful. Father. However, at this moment, a deep voice suddenly exploded. In the distant sky, a huge finger slowly shot over. The size of the finger was comparable to Noah's divine Arkansas. The power of the finger was mixed with a terrifying destructive force. When it pressed down, it absorbed endless lightning. It significantly reduced the damage that martial god Qilin was suffering. Thump. Thump. Meanwhile, the sound of a heartbeat was heard across the spirit continent. The illusionary image of a giant emerald heart appeared in the sky of the spirit continent. It's here. Father. Lin Ling clenched his teeth when he saw the giant heart. He was not surprised by it at all. He assumed that the person would show up when martial god Qilin was about to face the tribulation of life and death. That being said, even though he had already guessed it, he still chose to fight to the death as he did not want to miss the best chance to kill martial god Qilin. Lin Ling knew who the person was. As a matter of fact, when he saw the giant emerald heart, he knew it was the ancient supreme heart, which was Li Xiaoyao's flesh. The person was one of the 3 disciples of the Tian clan, martial god Qilin's son, Tianwengu. Tianwengu, save me. Tianwengu. Martial god Qilin immediately raised his head and said as the pressure that he was under decreased significantly. Father, I'll save you, but who is he? Tianwengu. A deep voice with a hint of astonishment came from the sky. It was obvious that the person did not expect the formation that a half-martial sacred realm expert had set up to pose a threat to a martial god. His name is Lin Ling. Tianwengu. Martial god Qilin immediately said. Lin Ling, right? I'll remember you. I'll find you in no time. Tianwengu. It was obvious that the person was not here. He was somewhere far away. As such, the giant emerald heart loomed over martial god Qilin and flew into the distance like a ray of light. I failed. Tianwengu. Lin Ling clenched his fists seeing this. He knew that strength was the only thing that mattered in the world rift. He might be able to rely on the formation for a while, but it was not a long-term solution. Lin Ling, the people of the Heaven Court won't forgive you. Tianwengu. Chapter 3170. The Heavenly Court's vitality was greatly damaged. Begone, stray dog. Lin Ling raised his head and sneered. Although he didn't succeed today, he still managed to vent his anger. He had suppressed this anger for 2 lifetimes. Then, he looked at the remaining Heavenly Court experts in the array formation. Hee, your boss has run away. You're in for it. His voice drifted out, causing the eyes of the Heavenly Court's experts to tremble. Wait, we're just here to help. Spare me, martial god. The experts from the Heavenly Court began to speak incoherently even though there were martial ancestors amongst them. However, they had all witnessed how terrifying the formation was. Not to mention the martial ancestor, even the martial god had almost died. It's none of my business. Lin Ling smiled and shouted coldly, activating the array formation to the extreme, killing the remaining people of the Heavenly Court. At the same time, he turned around and walked towards Master Tantra and the others. The eyes of the remaining Heavenly Court members turned red, but they couldn't stop the divine formation. All they knew was that martial god Qilin had abandoned them. The martial god. That was a realm that they had to look up to forever. Now that he had fled, leaving them behind, what a huge irony this was. They had obviously become scapegoats. Among the Heavenly Court's experts, there was no lack of older martial ancestors. They sighed endlessly. They never thought that they would die in the spirit province. Moreover, he had died at the hands of a half-saint stage junior. Death quietly enveloped them, and the heavenly court's experts were gradually wiped out. This formation can really kill gods. Looking at the dust of the great battle falling to the ground, the cultivators of the 9 regions were still reminiscing about the intense battle from before. One had to know that from the very beginning, they didn't think that the spirit province could resist at all. They thought that the spirit province would be completely slaughtered. But now, the heavenly court had been completely slaughtered. Even the Lord Martial God had fled. This great god-slaying array was truly terrifying. Idlers, if you don't scram within the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, you'll all die. While the experts of the 9 prefectures were still in shock, Lin Ling's cold voice drifted out from the ancient array. Wah, run! Oh my god, the realm monarch has his eyes on us, let's go. The voice scared all of the powerful cultivators, and they all ran out of the spirit province. Many of them wanted to get lucky, and they wanted to search for treasures in the spirit province. But now, he didn't even get a single strand of hair. On the other hand, after the heavenly court cultivators died, the ground of the spirit state was littered with treasures, clearly benefiting the spirit state. Lin Ling stood in the sky, his eyes still fixed on the distant sky. Now, he only wanted to become stronger and have the strength to kill martial god Qilin. Today is the first step of my revenge. Wait for me, Tian family, I will make a comeback. Lin Ling said secretly. Master, gather all the treasures left behind by the heavenly court's experts. Next, Lin Ling looked at the tantric sect and said. All right. The tantric sect's experts still thought that they were dreaming, but after hearing Lin Ling's words, they laughed excitedly and jumped down to the ground to collect the treasures. After the dust settled, Meng Lu, 9 Lantern Fish, Lu Chen, Fu Xing Manor, and the Flying Dragon Organization's experts also walked over. However, they all stopped outside the array, their eyes filled with fear. Come in, I've already closed the array. Seeing this, Lin Ling smiled and said. Activating the array consumed a lot of treasures. If there were no powerful enemies, Lin Ling wouldn't keep the array active. In fact, after the 9 godly ancient array's final fatal attack was activated, the array was also lacking spiritual energy to support it. Of course, now that they had obtained a large amount of treasures from the heavenly court, it was enough to activate the array again. Moreover, after today's god-slaying array, the spirit province's reputation in the 9 states was gradually rising. Ordinary people wouldn't dare to provoke them. As for the heavenly court, they were greatly weakened and wouldn't dare to provoke them again without a certain amount of time. Lin Ling, you're really strong. Seeing the array gradually disappear, 9 Lantern Fish, Lu Chen, and the others finally dared to walk in. However, as they looked at Lin Ling, their eyes were filled with complex emotions. They didn't treat Lin Ling as a junior, but as a famous powerhouse of the 9 states. The son of demon, so he was also the son of demon. Just who is this Lin Ling's backer? 13 blessings from Fu Xing Manor muttered to herself. She had learned from Sunset Glory about Lin Ling's feats in the divine dream lands. In addition to today's shocking battle, she was even more curious about Lin Ling. Moreover, she guessed that Lin Ling definitely had an ancient powerhouse supporting him from behind. It might even be a god. I was just lucky. Looking at the complicated looks in their eyes, Lin Ling said with a smile. Although he had failed today, his mood wasn't too bad. This was because he had destroyed the heavenly court, seized all of their treasures, and even took back the true inheritance, the dark sword. The 18th true inheritance, the dark sword, was a true divine sword. Let's go. Then, Lin Ling invited these powerhouses to move forward. Although these powerhouses hadn't been of much help, they had at least delayed Lin Ling for a bit. If it weren't for them, the spirit province would have suffered countless casualties. Everyone quickly landed on the ground. They discovered that under the iron hooves of the heavenly court's powerhouses, the entire spirit province could be said to be safe and sound. Not to mention the deaths, even the land of the spirit province wasn't affected. The defense of this great array was truly terrifying. Their evaluation of this great array had also increased by a notch. That night, Lin Ling left these powerhouses behind. Moreover, the plains of the spirit province were extremely lively. Every house was decorated with lanterns and streamers. After all, no matter what was said, their spirit province had just passed through a great calamity. Moreover, it could be foreseen that after tomorrow, the spirit province would become famous in the 9 states. Perhaps, their ranking in the 9 states might even rise by 1. I never thought that the little brat I met in the past would become famous in the 9 states today. 9 Lantern Fish Lu Chen sighed with emotion. In the past, Lin Ling had saved his wife, White Fox. Thus, he had repeatedly helped Lin Ling. But, he never imagined that there would be a day when he would look at Lin Ling with awe. I was only lucky enough to obtain an ancient divine array formation diagram in the divine dreamland, thus I was able to arrange it. Without this great array formation, how could I possibly be a match for the heavenly court with my strength? Yes. Hearing this, Lin Ling naturally wouldn't say that he was Li Xiaoyao. Instead, he pushed everything onto the divine dreamland. Indeed, everyone's eyes shined. If he had obtained an ancient divine array formation diagram from the divine dreamland, then all of this would make sense. The divine dreamland was a miracle, a divine land left behind by a god. Even so, they were still surprised. This was because an ancient divine array formation wasn't something that any world spiritist could arrange. This also proved just how high Lin Ling's attainments in the Tao of world spiritists were. In the future, this child will surely become a supreme powerhouse of the 9 states. Right now, he isn't too strong, but if we extend an olive branch to him, then once he becomes even stronger in the future, he will owe us a favor. The old woman from Fortune Travel Manor thought. As for the Flying Dragon organization's shadow afterimage, he also thought the same. Chapter 3171. An Yuer's Whereabouts. Originally, he thought that it would be enough to shock Lin Ling, but who knew that Lin Ling would directly challenge the martial god? This made it so that his people weren't even enough to fill the gaps between Lin Ling's teeth. This also meant that the Flying Dragon organization didn't contribute much. We must find an opportunity to make this little friend Lin Ling owe our Flying Dragon organization a favor. Du Ying's eyes flashed. Disregarding everything else, just the fact that Lin Ling knew how to set up such a godly formation was enough to move the Flying Dragon organization. If they could set up this formation in the headquarters of the Flying Dragon organization, their organization would be impregnable. By the way, Lin Ling, aren't you looking for a woman from the Celestial Temple? Yes. 9 Lantern Fish Lu Chen suddenly said. This made Lin Ling stop drinking, and his eyes narrowed. Moreover, Yu and Xian Yuan Gu's expressions changed greatly. The Celestial Temple was one of the 9 provinces' 10 evils. Most importantly, an Yuer was in the Celestial Temple. Have you seen her? Yes. Lin Ling anxiously asked. I heard that the Celestial Temple went to the Cloud region, and a treasure appeared there, causing many forces in the 9 provinces to go there. Yes. 9 Lantern Fish Lu Chen explained, of course, the Celestial Temple went there, but I don't know if that woman went there. Yes. In the past, when they were fighting for the dragon soul in the Crimson region, he also saw that Lin Ling seemed to know the saintess of the Celestial Temple, so he reminded him. Cloud region? Yes. Lin Ling immediately frowned. The Cloud region was ranked below the Spirit region. Logically speaking, it wasn't a match for the Spirit region. However, if a treasure appeared in the cloud region, it would attract the attention of many forces in the 9 provinces, and there would definitely be many experts. One had to know that Lin Ling seemed to be famous in the 9 provinces, but in reality, he was just a rising star. The 9 provinces was vast, and there were many ancient races, hundreds of bloodlines, and descendants of gods. There was no limit. Not to mention the dragon race, for example, it was an extremely mysterious ancient race in the 9 provinces. This was what Li Xiaoyao learned after he traveled through the 9 regions in the past. Yunzhou, Everlasting Forbidden Forest. At this moment, 9-lantern fish Lu Chen spoke again. That place is one of the 7 forbidden grounds of the 9 prefectures and is as famous as the 8 gods' heavenly palace. Lin Ling had already gone to the 8 gods' heavenly palace several times, but he had never reached the end. From this, one could see how mysterious the 8 gods' heavenly palace was. And for the eternal forbidden forest to be as famous as the 8 gods' heavenly palace, this also showed how mysterious the forbidden grounds were. Alright, I'll go to Yunzhou in 3 days. Lin Ling nodded and said. Do you need help? 9-lantern fish Lu Chen laughed. However, Lin Ling shook his head. Although the heavenly court can't wait to kill me, they have suffered great losses this time. In the short term, they won't come looking for me. Lin Ling, why don't I help you? I just happen to have nothing to do anyway. At this moment, Dou Kanying spoke. Hearing this, Lin Ling looked at him with a smile. He suddenly understood what Dou Kanying meant. He immediately nodded and said, all right, let's go together in 3 days. This trip to Yunzhou would definitely be filled with experts. With a bodyguard like Dou Kanying, it would be less troublesome if he encountered any trouble. Yu Yu and the others also wanted to go, but they were all rejected by Lin Ling. He knew very well that although martial god Qilin seemed to have escaped, no one could be sure that he did not send people to secretly watch him. Therefore, if he left, the spirit state would be safer. After all, martial god Qilin's target was only him. That night, Lin Ling began to cultivate. He wanted to use these 3 days to increase his strength again. Now that the 9 divine ancient Su formation had been set up, he could refine the treasures without any worries. This time, the heavenly court was completely annihilated, leaving behind a lot of treasures. Therefore, Lin Ling's cultivation base was also increasing crazily. The Chaos Divine formula continued to refine the treasures. Currently, I have 4 dantians. It seems like I'm still lacking a lot in order to form another dantian. Sensing that his 4 dantians were constantly filling up, Lin Ling was looking forward to the 5th dantian even more. Although he was only a 2nd stage half-saint, he was so powerful that he could easily defeat a 5th stage half-saint or even a 6th stage half-saint. He relied on the fusion of his 4 dantians. However, Lin Ling had not encountered a talent above the 5th grade desolate body. Therefore, he did not dare to claim that he was the strongest in the middle stage half-saint. 3 days of time passed by quietly. Early in the morning, Lin Ling opened his eyes. There was a flash of lightning in his eyes. Crackle. Explosions continued to occur in the void. The tribulation of a half-saint had descended, yet Lin Ling had resisted it with ease. After all, the half-saint realm only consisted of the beginning stage to the middle stage. The tribulation from the middle stage to the late stage was more terrifying. Most martial artists could barely block the tribulation from the middle stage to the late stage. Lin Ling's cultivation had finally reached the 3rd stage half-saint. Furthermore, his other 3 dantians had also reached this stage. As for the true inheritance dark sword, Lin Ling was still unable to control it with his current strength. Therefore, he hid it on his body. When Lin Ling walked out of seclusion, everyone was waiting for him outside. When they saw Lin Ling, they all smiled. They had also sensed that Lin Ling had broken through. After all, the tribulation from the half-saint tribulation could not escape their eyes. Even so, they were still shocked. Lin Ling's breakthroughs were too fast. 3 desolate bodies. Among them, the fire desolate body is a 5th grade desolate body. TSK, no wonder his cultivation speed is so fast. Xing Shiyun looked at Lin Ling with admiration and nodded his head in satisfaction. In the history of the spirit state, there had never been someone who had all 3 desolate bodies. Therefore, Lin Ling was an exception to the spirit state. This also led him to speculate that Lin Ling's cultivation speed was fast because of his talent. I'm afraid I won't be back for quite some time after leaving this time. Everyone, take care of yourselves. Looking at everyone, Lin Ling smiled. I left the Noah's divine ark in the spirit state. Ordinary warriors won't be able to get close to it at all. Furthermore, I taught Xian Yuan Gu, or the method to control the 9 divine ancient Su formation. When a powerful enemy arrives and the formation is activated, even a martial ancestor will die. However, the formation will take a month to activate. Therefore, if a powerful enemy arrives, use the Sun-Ice Heavenly Cauldron. As long as the enemy's strength is not abnormally strong, the Ice Dragon summoning Divine Cauldron will be able to resist for a month. Most importantly, after I leave, the Heavenly Court's target will also leave with me. Therefore, I believe that the Heavenly Court will not easily allow experts to come to the spirit state. Lin Ling continued. Hearing this, everyone nodded their heads. Brother Ling, be careful. Yu Yu and the others looked at Lin Ling reluctantly. This time, I'll do my best to bring in Yuer back. Lin Ling took Yu Yu and the others' hands and promised. However, in reality, he was not very confident. After all, with his current strength, he was still able to fight against the Immortal Temple. However, now that he knew Yuer's whereabouts, he, Lin Ling, had to go. After talking for a while, Lin Ling left with Do Kanying. Looking at the back of the blue-robed figure, the entire spirit state fell silent. Chapter 3172. Eternal Forbidden Forest. Lin Ling and Do Kanying continued on their way to the cloud state. Just as Lin Ling had guessed, they didn't encounter any experts chasing after them throughout the entire process. This meant that the Heavenly Court's vitality was indeed greatly damaged. Half a month later, Lin Ling and his companion finally arrived at Yunzhou. Furthermore, he was heading straight for the Eternal Forbidden Forest. The Eternal Forbidden Forest was extremely huge. According to legends, it was a divine land left behind by the gods. Even the warriors of the cloud state had not traveled through the entire Forbidden Forest. There were even rumors that the end of the Forbidden Forest was the land of the gods. No matter what, the Eternal Forbidden Forest was one of the 7 great forbidden lands of the 9 prefectures. After entering the ancient Forbidden Forest, Lin Ling and Jian Wushuang slowly moved forward. Along the way, they met some warriors and found out that there was a large number of experts gathered in the depths of the ancient Forbidden Forest. TSK, the 9 provinces is vast and boundless, and there are countless experts. In the past, there was the rise of Yulong, and now there is the son of the demon. In my opinion, the son of demon is the most terrifying one. I heard that even the Heavenly Court's martial god Qilin almost suffered a great loss. He's just relying on a formation. I'm guessing that the son of the demon obtained the ancient formation of the gods from somewhere and moved it to the spirit province. I don't think he can set up the great formation of the gods. Since you're so powerful, why don't you try provoking them in the spirit province? Along the way, scattered voices could be heard from time to time, causing Do Kanying to smile. These martial artists that had barged into the Forbidden Forest probably didn't know that the son of demon they were talking about wasn't too far away from them. On the other hand, Lin Ling ignored those voices. After traveling for 3 days, he said to Do Kanying, "We haven't had a chance to rest. Why don't we take a break here? Alright, I don't know what kind of dangers we'll encounter if we continue forward. It's not a bad idea to take a break. Dou Afterimage also agreed. The two of them casually made a fire and drank wine. They were extremely happy. There's wine but no meat. What a pity. After drinking a few mouthfuls, Dou Afterimage suddenly laughed. There are countless demonic beasts in the ancient forbidden forest. Isn't it easy to get meat? Lin Ling also replied. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. His soul force sensed a huge monster quietly approaching. There's meat coming. Lin Ling immediately stood up. This caused Dou Afterimage's eyes to flash. One had to know that he was the king of assassins, but when a demonic beast approached, he was actually slower than Lin Ling by a fraction of a second. From this, one could see just how sharp Lin Ling's senses were. It should be soul power. I wonder what level his soul power is at. Dou Kenning secretly said, and then stood up. Bang bang bang. Almost at the same time, the huge tree split apart and a demon rhinoceros walked out. This demon rhinoceros had two heads. One head spewed flames while the other spewed clouds. Gallo Magic Rhinoceros. Dou Kenning couldn't help but exclaim when he saw this. Such a demon beast is also called a devil beast, and its strength is equivalent to an existence at the peak of the half-saint stage. Lin Ling, let me do it. Oh. Lin Ling looked interested. He waved his hand and said, let me do it. I just had a breakthrough. Let me test the strength of this devil beast. In the past, Li Xiaoyao had come to the Eternal Forbidden Forest to explore. However, he hadn't been there many times, so he didn't have a deep impression of it. He didn't recognize the Gallo Magic Rhinoceros immediately. Be careful. Dou Kenning didn't reject Lin Ling, but he was still a little worried. Lin Ling nodded and stepped forward. Rumble. The demon rhinoceros also released a terrifying murderous aura. As it moved, it made people shudder. This aura alone was enough to make a half-saint stage expert run for his life. However, Lin Ling stood still and didn't move. Roar. The Gallo Magic Rhinoceros let out a roar, and the horns on its two heads shot out two rays of light. One ray of light was made of flames, while the other ray was made of clouds. It was extremely sharp. This was the power of rank. Moreover, it smoothly pierced through Lin Ling's body. This made Dou Kenying's pupils dilate. Lin Ling. He had never expected that Lin Ling would be killed the moment he entered the Eternal Forbidden Forest. Moreover, he was killed by a demonic beast. This was too much for people to react to. One had to know that Lin Ling was someone who could kill a deity. It's fake. Everything must be fake. Dou Kenning shook his head continuously. However, the Gallo Magic Rhinoceros let out an excited roar and walked toward Lin Ling happily. It seemed to think that Lin Ling was dead. Of course, it had intelligence and could sense that Lin Ling was only a third-stage half-saint. Of course, his cultivation couldn't withstand the attack of the demon rhinoceros. Beasts are beasts indeed. Even though they have intelligence, their intelligence is still very low. However, at this moment, a lazy voice rang out, causing the Gallo Magic Rhinoceros to freeze on the spot. Dou Kenning was the same. However, he was an assassin after all. He immediately reacted. It was an illusion. In the past, he had personally faced such an illusion and fallen for it. However, he had never expected that Lin Ling's illusion level would increase again. As a bystander, he had also fallen for it. Swoosh. At the same time, he slashed out with his sword. Rumble. The huge Gallo Magic Rhinoceros was cut in half and collapsed like a small mountain. Beside the Magic Rhinoceros, a slender figure in a blue robe appeared. Dou Kenning finally relaxed when he saw this. Swoosh! Almost at the same time, black vines shot out and wrapped around the magic rhinoceros. It seemed to be absorbing the flesh and blood of the magic rhinoceros. This was Mini Kunlun. Leave a piece of meat for us. Don't take it all for yourself. Seeing this, Lin Ling couldn't help but laugh. After he finished speaking, a huge piece of meat was cut open and shot toward Do Kening. Then, countless vines wrapped around the magic rhinoceros and devoured its flesh and blood. Both of them are perverts. Do Kening looked at the black vine strangely and shook his head. He was already used to everything that happened to Lin Ling. The two of them quickly sat down and leaned against the meat and drank wine. Compared to when they didn't have any meat, they were obviously more satisfied. However, not long after they started eating, the sound of fighting suddenly came from afar. It seemed that the fighting was not weak. Lin Ling, the ancient forbidden forest is extremely chaotic. Killing people and robbing treasures is a common occurrence. Let's not bother about this kind of thing. Do Kening took a sip of wine and immediately reminded him. The ancient forbidden forest was one of the 7 forbidden lands of the 9 prefectures. The people who came here were all dragons and snakes. Fighting in the forbidden forest was a common occurrence. Hearing this, Lin Ling nodded his head. However, the sounds of fighting in front of them were getting closer and closer. After a while, a few figures rushed out of the forest. Lin Ling and Do Kening frowned. There were 2 groups of people rushing out of the forest. 3 of them were being chased and looked extremely miserable. The other group held purple swords in their hands and were filled with murderous intent. The Purple Cloud Sword sect in the west of the 9 prefectures. Looking at the people holding purple swords, Do Kening said in a low voice. Hearing this, Lin Ling immediately looked at Do Kening. Do Kening explained, in the land of the 9 prefectures, the green and crimson prefectures are known as the north of the 9 prefectures. The sky and cloud prefectures are known as the west of the 9 prefectures. Your spirit and you prefectures are also known as the south of the 9 prefectures. This is the rough name given to the 9 prefectures by the martial artists who roam the 9 prefectures. Hearing this, Lin Ling nodded his head. Chapter 3173. Do you think you can escape? Of course, not everyone had the right to call the 9 states that way. For example, the Jiang family of the Sky State. Although they came from the west of the 9 states, they rarely left the Sky State, so they were not qualified. Generally speaking, only those who left the divine prefecture they came from had the right to call them that. The Purple Cloud Sword sect was a colossus in the Sky State and the Cloud State. While the 2 of them were talking, the 3 people who were being chased suddenly looked in Lin Ling's direction. Then, they quickly ran over. Seniors, help! Help! This action immediately made Lin Ling and the other frown. Generally speaking, being hunted down like this was a matter that belonged to the cultivator, and it was very rare for it to implicate others. Now that the 3 of them had run over, wasn't this just asking Lin Ling and Yi Shiwen to provoke the Purple Cloud Sword sect? This could be considered a disaster. In a place like the ancient Forbidden Forest, cultivators generally did not care about such things. Therefore, Do Kening frowned but did not say anything. Instead, he looked at Lin Ling and waited for Lin Ling to make the decision. In the blink of an eye, the people with purple swords had already surrounded Lin Ling and the other. Their gazes fell on Do Kening because they could not see through his strength. As for Lin Ling, his cultivation was not weak, but it was not enough to enter their eyes. Sirs, this matter has nothing to do with you. As long as we investigate, you can leave. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. Sirs. The middle-aged man in the lead said calmly, the sword in his hand pointed at Do Kening. Hearing this, Do Kening wanted to laugh. Were these people blind? They threatened the king of assassins and even surrounded the son of demon. One must know that the son of demon could destroy gods. However, he still looked at Lin Ling. Lin Ling drank a mouthful of wine and smiled. You mean, if we don't cooperate, we can't leave? Although the middle-aged man did not touch them, he could sense the threat in his words. Do you know who you're talking to? Upon hearing Lin Ling's nonchalant words, a young man from the crowd immediately drew his sword. His sword was like a purple ray of light. In his opinion, who gave this brat the third layer of the half-saint realm the guts to speak? His cultivation was at the fifth layer of the half-step saint realm, and his cultivation level power had reached 40%. He was not weak. His sword was drawn without any warning, and it was more of a sneak attack. If he did not react in time, even a seventh layer of half-step saint realm. However, the young man did not know that he was facing an ordinary third layer of half-step saint realm. Lin Ling didn't even bother to make a move. Xiao! Black lightning instantly shot out and turned into vines that wrapped around the purple sword. Clang! A crisp sound rang out at the same time, and the sword was actually shattered. My sword! The young man cried out in alarm. However, he did not know that he should be more concerned about himself than his sword. This was because the vines were like demonic plants. They grew crazily and wrapped around the young man in an instant, causing him to be unable to retaliate at all. He was directly strangled to death. You're courting death. This change happened in a flash. When the middle-aged man reacted, he stabbed out with his sword. His cultivation level was higher. He was at the seventh layer of the half-step saint realm, and he was an elder of the Purple Cloud Sword sect. How dare you! Do Kening finally let out a low shout when he saw that the middle-aged man had made a move as well. Even though he knew that Lin Ling had defeated a seventh-stage half-saint before, that was when both parties were in a state of battle. However, Lin Ling was still drinking and sitting down. Therefore, he couldn't guarantee that Lin Ling wouldn't be injured. Moreover, this middle-aged man was too shameless. He actually dared to attack a junior like this. Xiao. However, the black vine was extremely terrifying. It grew rapidly, and not only did it block the middle-aged man's sword, it even shattered his sword. This time, everyone was shocked. What kind of monster is this? Isn't it too ferocious? Young master, are you all right? Do Kening came to Lin Ling's side and asked worriedly. They had agreed that Do Kening would address Lin Ling as young master in front of outsiders. Lin Ling waved his hand. Although he did not have the divine array, it would be difficult for ordinary people to kill him unless they encountered a saint. Before Lin Ling could speak, the middle-aged man frowned and said in a low voice, "You dare to kill a member of the Purple Cloud Sword sect? What's so great about the Purple Cloud Sword sect? We didn't do as you ordered and you wanted to kill us. Now you have the nerve to talk about us." Do Kening laughed angrily. Fine, we'll remember this. Let's go. The middle-aged man looked coldly at Lin Ling and Do Kening, then he waved his hand and intended to leave. Leave? This caused Lin Ling and Do Kening to be stunned. After failing to attack, he wanted to leave just like that? Moreover, Lin Ling could clearly sense the cold murderous intent in the middle-aged man's eyes. If he had the chance, he would definitely kill Lin Ling and Do Kening. You think you can leave? Lin Ling sneered and waved his hand. They're all Kening. Kill them. Do you know what you're doing? When the middle-aged man heard Lin Ling's words, he seemed to have heard the funniest joke. The Purple Cloud Sword sect had already spared these two people, but these two wanted to kill them? Unfortunately, before they could speak any more nonsense, the shadow appeared. Dense murderous intent enveloped the space. Ah! Ah! Painful screams continued to ring out. Only now did the Purple Cloud Sword sect elder realize just how terrifying the afterimage was and who he had provoked this time. Unfortunately, it was all too late. After a few breaths, all the darkness disappeared. A large number of corpses were lying on the ground. Their necks were all scarred. They had been killed with a single blow. As for the 3 people who were saved, their bodies were trembling. They never expected these 2 people to be so strong. Thank you for saving our lives, Senior. We will definitely repay you when we meet again. Then, the 3 people looked at each other, bowed to Lin Ling and Dou Caning, and hurriedly left. Young master, do you want to? Dou Huanying's eyes narrowed when he saw this. Obviously, he intended to silence Lin Ling. After all, the eternal Forbidden Forest was extremely chaotic, and Lin Ling had come here to look for an U-er. So, it was naturally better to eliminate the source of trouble. Moreover, he was the king of assassins. He did not distinguish between good and evil. Forget it. However, Lin Ling did not mind and shook his head. First, the 3 people were very weak. They might not meet again. Second, his target was an Yuer. He did not have time to waste here. Of course, the 3 people did not even thank him sincerely. This made Lin Ling look down on them. The eternal Forbidden Forest is too big. Senior Lu Chen only knows that Senior Yu-er is here. How will he find her? This is a headache. After taking a sip of wine, Lin Ling looked into the distance. The longing in his eyes deepened. Chapter 3174. Slander. On the contrary, Lin Ling had been consolidating his cultivation for the past month. He had fused the illusion god's true inheritance with the demon sword of the scabbard. When he used the illusion god's true inheritance, he could use the fatal blow. Moreover, he could use the calamity-destroying Sun Bao at the same time. In this way, there would be fewer people in the middle stage of the Sage-to-Be realm who could make him afraid. Along the way, Lin Ling had seen the demonic beasts in the ancient Forbidden Forest. To be precise, they were demonic beasts. He didn't know if it was because of the ancient Forbidden Forest or because of other reasons, but these demonic beasts were really strong. Lin Ling had even encountered many demonic beasts that were comparable to the Sage stage. These demonic beasts had strong defense and ultimate martial arts. Even if Lin Ling used all his strength, he couldn't kill a Sage stage demonic beast. I cultivate essence, qi, and spirit. In addition, I have 3 great talents. My potential is extraordinary. However, it will take a lot of time to strengthen each field. As Lin Ling cultivated, he secretly assessed himself. This was with the 10,000 elephant demonic eyes and Li Xiaoyao's memory. If he didn't have both, he would need thousands of years to cultivate. On this day, Lin Ling and Dou Caning arrived at a new area. However, soon, there was a rumbling sound in front of them, and it was getting closer. Someone is fighting and is approaching us. Dou Caning frowned because this wasn't the first time. Let's see who it is. Lin Ling, on the other hand, smiled. His 4 dantians disappeared quietly as he leaped onto an ancient tree. His aura also seemed to disappear into the universe. Dou Caning was shocked when he saw this. The more familiar he was with Lin Ling, the more he couldn't see through Lin Ling. Dou Caning was the king of assassins and was good at hiding. However, Lin Ling's hiding technique was not much weaker than his. Could it be soul power again? What an enviable talent! Dou Caning said to himself. Then, he followed Lin Ling and disappeared. Third Elder and the others haven't found him yet? Before long, more than 10 figures finally appeared in the forest. Most importantly, these people were holding purple swords. They must be from the Purple Cloud Sword sect. Found them. We found their corpses in the east. They were all killed. Someone replied, causing the expression of the elder in the lead to change greatly. Damn it, it's definitely the people from the Sun Moon Fine Courtyard. Find them and kill them all. They are the fallen maple forest not far away. I see them. Feng Lin Ling Yu Fenging Ease Yu Yang Fenging Feng was En Feng's Red Cloud Forest Maple Forest. Let's go to the fallen maple forest. The people from the Sun Moon Fine Garden have found the map. The old man in the lead shouted angrily. He turned into a gust of wind and disappeared on the spot. The others followed closely behind him. Ing Lin 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 Feng Ing Lin Ing 2 days shadow of time of Lin, red sun Lin, Ing Lin Do afterimage gazed towards the direction that group of people left and spoke curiously. He was able to discern that the Violet Dawn Sword sect seemed to intend to see some map. Let's go take a look. Lin Ling didn't have any news about Inuer at the moment. He guessed that Inuer might also be looking for a mystic realm. Now that he heard about the map, he was naturally interested. Perhaps he could find Inuer by following the map. The two of them immediately followed after him. Not long after, in an ancient maple forest, two groups of people also appeared. The ground was covered with fiery red maple leaves the size of a palm, adding to the beauty of the scene. Of course, this was on the premise that the two sides did not fight each other. But obviously, this was impossible. You killed our Purple Cloud Sword sect's third elder and the others, didn't you? The old man who led the group spoke coldly. He was at the 9th level of the half-saint realm, and his strength was sufficient to crush everyone here. Elder, you've wronged us. The people of the Sun Moon Fine Garden were all very fearful of the people of the Purple Cloud Sword sect. 3 of them spoke one after another. They were killed by 2 outsiders. One of them looked very young, and the other looked gloomy. Even the map was seized by them. Exactly. Moreover, I've memorized their appearances. Look, I used boundary essence to draw them. It's these 2 people. If you want to take revenge, then go look for them. The 3 of them drew Lin Ling's appearance before them, and then they spoke anxiously. These 3 people were actually the 3 people that Lin Ling had saved. Now, they'd obviously pushed all the blame onto Lin Ling and the young man. This caused the eyes of Lin Ling and the young man who were hiding at the edge of the maple forest to turn cold. This matter originally had nothing to do with them. It was those 3 people who'd come to seek help from Lin Ling's group, and Lin Ling had helped them kill their opponents. But now, those 3 people had actually betrayed them and pushed all the blame onto them. Moreover, they'd even falsely accused them of seizing the map. Looks like I was too soft-hearted just now. They're dead for sure. At this moment, the people from the Purple Cloud Sword sect shouted coldly. Moreover, they'd memorized the appearance of Lin Ling's group. Then can we leave? We have no enmity with the Purple Cloud Sword sect. The people from the Sun Moon Gallery spoke softly. Who said you can leave? And who said we can't kill you if there's no enmity? We don't like you, so we'll kill you if we want to. However, the people from the Purple Cloud Sword sect spoke coldly. Don't. It was those 2 who killed the people from the Purple Cloud Sword sect. It has nothing to do with us. Right, that young man wore a blue robe and had terrifying demonic vines on him. You should go look for them. Seeing this, the people from the Sun Moon Gallery were completely terrified. Especially those 3 people, they kept explaining. But before they could finish, their pupils constricted, and they looked ahead in fear. Because under the maple tree in front of them, 2 figures walked out. One of them was an old man wearing a large cloak, and his entire body was covered in an icy cold murderous aura. The other person wore a blue robe, but there were black vines on his right arm that were bearing fangs and brandishing claws like a demonic beast. This scene caused everyone to be stunned. Senior, it's them. It's the 2 of them. The 3 people from the Sun Moon Gallery immediately cried out in alarm. In fact, they didn't need to remind them. The people from the Purple Cloud Sword sect had already recognized Lin Ling and the other person. Were you the ones who killed the third elder of the Purple Cloud Sword sect? And is the map in your hands as well? The old man from the Purple Cloud Sword sect spoke in a low voice. His voice was slightly hoarse, like two stones rubbing against each other. However, Lin Ling and the other person ignored him. Instead, they looked at the three people from the Sun Moon Gallery. The three of you deserve to die. Lin Ling and the other person said at the same time. Their words caused the hearts of the three people to tremble. However, when they remembered that the people from the Purple Cloud Sword sect and the people from the Sun Moon Gallery were here, they relaxed a little. Although the two of them were strong, how could they stop the people from the Purple Cloud Sword sect? Humph, you want to silence us? We saw the whole thing with our own eyes. Today, we'll definitely stand out and testify. That's right, you're too cruel. So, no matter what, we'll stand on the side of the Purple Cloud Sword sect. The three people turned the tables and pushed all the blame onto Lin Ling and the other person. Their words caused Lin Ling and the other person's faces to turn even colder. Chapter 3175. Human Formation, Divine Light of the Sun and Moon. How despicable. Lin Ling couldn't be bothered to say anything more. He looked at Do Afterimage and said, I'll leave the Purple Cloud Sword sect to you. Leave the Sun Moon Courtyard to me. Yes, young master. Do Afterimage smiled coldly and looked at the Purple Cloud Sword sect. Of course, they were staring at Do Afterimage as well. However, Do Afterimage was an assassin and was extremely skilled at hiding his aura. For a moment, the members of the Purple Cloud Sword sect were unable to see through him. However, before they could say anything, Lin Ling and Do Afterimage had already split up. Darkness emanated from Do Afterimage's body and he vanished on the spot. In the next instant, a dagger seemed to have arrived from the void. Swoosh! Blood immediately sprayed out. One of the members of the Purple Cloud Sword sect had his neck sliced open and fell to the ground, rolling about in pain. Being struck by the dagger of the King of Assassins was worse than death. Liang Yong, are you alright? The members of the Purple Cloud Sword sect shouted when they saw this. The old man's expression changed, and he waved his hand to stop them. Don't approach him. That dagger is probably poisonous. Save me. Save me. The member of the Purple Cloud Sword sect shouted in pain and gradually turned into a pile of bones. The most terrifying thing was that the bones were rolling about and suffering inhumane torture. At this moment, the hearts of all the members of the Purple Cloud Sword sect trembled. TSK, it's your turn. Do Afterimage's gaze was icy cold as he looked at the old man in the lead. Elder Mo, kill him. The other members of the Purple Cloud Sword sect shouted loudly. However, the old man's expression was solemn because he knew that this assassin seemed to be difficult to deal with. When they looked at Lin Ling again, they saw that he'd already appeared before the members of the Sun Moon Courtyard. This caused them to be stunned, and then they were delighted. This young man was only at the third level of the half-saint realm. It seemed like he'd be easy to kill. If they dealt with the young man and the Purple Cloud Sword sect was obstructed by the assassin, then they could escape. This is a heaven-sent opportunity. A thin young man among the group couldn't help but lick his lips. They had a total of 5 half-saints on their side. Even though they couldn't defeat the Purple Cloud Sword sect, it would be as easy as drinking water for them to deal with this young man. Brat, you want to kill us all by yourself? The other person also laughed sinisterly. Lin Ling shook his head. It's not just one person. There's still this. As soon as he finished speaking, he stretched out his left hand and opened his palm. Vines quietly grew on it, making it look extremely demonic. Everyone looked at the strange black vine and couldn't help but be stunned. It was undeniable that this vine was a little strange, but it shouldn't be able to stop their sun-moon courtyard. Whoosh! However, just as this thought formed, the black lightning struck. Crackle! The person closest to Lin Ling had his talent extracted. Then, he was entangled by the vines and was tied to death. His death was extremely tragic. Bastard, how dare you! This sudden scene caused everyone in the sun-moon courtyard to be stunned. Then, one by one, they let out a roar. Kill him! They split up and weaved back and forth. They actually turned into a mysterious spirit formation that caused the sun and moon to appear. Sacred light enveloped half of the maple forest. Human formation. Lin Ling was slightly surprised. Moreover, he could see that the spirit formation formed by these people was quite powerful. Die! At this moment, sunlight shot over. It shot towards a person in the east, causing his palm to be extremely bright. Then, the enormous sunlight was controlled by him and exploded towards Lin Ling. Rumble. The sunlight was extremely powerful. It actually cut down all the maple trees in front of it. As for Lin Ling, before everyone's eyes, he was also killed. Dead. He died just like that. He's really weak. The people in the sun-moon courtyard all laughed. Next, they planned to escape from here. However, just as one of them moved, a sword slashed towards him. With a plop, his head fell to the ground. Most importantly, his body was still leaning forward, as if he wanted to leave. How weak! At the same time, the illusion was quietly pulled apart. Like clouds rising into the sky, a blue figure appeared from within. This caused the pupils of the people in the sun-moon courtyard to narrow. You can't even see through my illusion. How are you going to kill me? Lin Ling strode forward and slashed out with his sword. 50% of the demon sword steps was like a blood sword, cutting off another person's head. You don't even know what kind of sword I slashed out. How are you going to kill me? Plop. The head that fell to the ground looked at Lin Ling in disbelief. In the end, he died with his eyes wide open. Rumble. At the same time, blazing flames arrived in the sky. They were multicolored and ancient. Accompanying them was a huge ancient tablet. When the ancient tablet came crashing down, another 5 people were smashed into pieces. You don't even have a third-grade desolate body. I don't know where your confidence comes from. The voice continued to float out. The remaining people in the sun-moon courtyard were all dumbfounded. They never imagined that this third-layer half-saint youth would be so powerful. His various trump cards and hidden talents were simply beyond their imagination. Formation, divine light of the sun and moon. The few 7th-layer half-saints knew that they had met a genius from the 9 prefectures. They formed a human formation once again. Furthermore, the boundary elements in their bodies connected, causing the sun and moon to appear. A huge beam of light shot towards Lin Ling. Divine light of the sun and moon. Even a 9th-layer half-saint would find it difficult to block it. Someone roared. Following that, the huge beam of light shot towards Lin Ling again. However, no one dared to be careless. With the strange illusion from before, they were not sure if Lin Ling was dead. This formation is not bad. If all of you had a third-grade desolate body and attacked together, even a 9th-layer half-saint would be killed by you. It's a pity that some of you have higher and some of you are weaker. This has affected the strength of the formation. However, not long after, Lin Ling's voice slowly floated out. Does this guy have an immortal body? The people from the sun-moon auspicious courtyard were completely terrified. They were completely helpless against Lin Ling. Almost at the same time, the illusions began to separate like clouds. A 5-meter-long dragon bow appeared and 3 arrows shot out. Swoosh! 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 The 3 terrifying arrows shot through the few 7th-layer half-saints. Finally, the arrows pierced through the 3 people who had slandered Lin Ling. The Sun-Moon auspicious courtyard was defeated in less than half an hour. Lin Ling did not kill the 3 people for the time being. He smiled as he looked at the illusions. They are all illusions. I have finished them. Can't you do it? At this moment, the leader of the Purple Cloud Sword sect was also staring at Lin Ling. His face was filled with shock. One person had killed everyone from the Sun-Moon auspicious courtyard. Furthermore, he had only used half an hour. His strength was too monstrous. Even the strongest genius in the west of the 9 prefectures could not compare to him. How could he know that the strongest genius in the west of the 9 prefectures was nothing but a fart in front of Lin Ling? Where are you looking at? While he was still in shock, a cold light flashed and a bloody wound appeared on the old man's neck. At the same time, Du Qinning appeared beside the old man and said disdainfully, "You dare to be distracted while fighting with me. I have to admire your courage." Chapter 3176. Ancient City. In the entire maple forest, only the 3 people who had slandered Lin Ling were left. They had been shot by the arrows and it was only a matter of time before they died. However, they all looked at Lin Ling in horror. "Senior, we were wrong." They made difficult noises. "Wrong your sister." Lin Ling didn't even look at them. He didn't want to waste any more words. "TSK, we saved you out of kindness, but you slandered us instead? I've seen people who seek death, but this is the first time I've seen people who seek death like you." On the contrary, Doing started to laugh, but his laughter was very cruel. He took out another dagger and cut them up until they were dripping with blood. "We can't even be bothered to dirty our hands by killing you. There are many demonic beasts in the ancient forbidden forest. You can slowly enjoy the remaining time you have left." After putting away the dagger, Do Afterimage and Lin Ling slowly left the maple forest. Just as they started moving, they immediately sensed a low growl coming from outside the forest. Obviously, the fresh blood had attracted those magical beasts. "Senior, save us." As the fishy devil Qi drifted over, the 3 of them clearly understood Doing Ying's intentions. Each of them trembled in fear, and their pleas for mercy grew louder and louder. However, it was of no use. Instead, it made the demonic beasts even more restless. Ah! Not long after, a painful cry drifted out from the maple forest, startling countless birds. Lin Ling, on the other hand, was expressionless and completely ignored him. On the other hand, Doing licked his lips, as if he was very interested in what was happening in the maple forest. However, he also thought that those 3 people were courting death. Not to mention him, the king of assassins, they even dared to slander Lin Ling. One had to know that this was a man who could kill gods. This is the map. While moving forward, a piece of beast skin appeared in Lin Ling's hand. It was obtained from the people of the Sun-Moon Fine Courtyard. It's just one of the maps. I can't tell anything from this map. Do Afterimage also went over and looked up and down, but when he flipped to the other side of the map, he was stunned. On the other side, there was a strange plant drawn with fresh blood. Unlike ordinary plants, there was only one plant, and it was full of thorns, like a vine. "What is this?" Lin Ling frowned. "I can't tell what it is, but it looks like the vine on your arm." Doing stared at the map, then stared at Lin Ling's left arm. The more he looked, the more he felt the resemblance. Even Lin Ling was surprised after taking a few glances. This was because it really looked like Little Kunlun. Could it be that the destination of the map was related to Little Kunlun? Lin Ling had obtained the Azure Thearka's imperial jade seal in the Land of God. Its origin was mysterious. Could it be related to the eternal forbidden forest? Little Kunlun, do you recognize this portrait? Lin Ling waved the map at the vines. However, the leaves of Little Kunlun also swayed like a child shaking its head. Looks like I have to explore this map. Seeing this, Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. However, he only had one piece of the map, so there was nothing he could do for now. I didn't expect to find such a lousy map instead of senior sister you, Sigh. Thinking of the purpose of this trip, Lin Ling felt a little depressed. Young master, don't worry. Since your girlfriend is the saintess of the celestial temple, she won't be in any danger. Perhaps she is also looking for this map. So, we can follow the clues on the map and maybe we can meet her. Do Afterimage comforted. That's the only way. However, the map doesn't leave us with many clues. Lin Ling looked into the distance and couldn't help but sigh. The two of them chatted as they walked. In the evening, the forbidden forest became quiet. Lin Ling and the rest knew that the paradise of the demonic beasts was coming. The forbidden forest at night was the scariest. During this period, they had been chased by the demonic beasts countless times. Wait, look! What a tall wall! Suddenly, Do Afterimage exclaimed. In the distant forest, a tall wall that reached the sky was faintly discernible. The height of the wall was probably comparable to the chaos of the universe. Even if the demonic beasts were as big as a mountain, they would not be able to break through the wall. It seems that there are people in front. Let's hurry over. Although Lin Ling was not afraid of spending the night in the forbidden forest, he was really tired. If he could have a good night's rest, he would not miss it. The two of them hurried on. Not long after, an ancient city appeared. The huge wall was made of some unknown material. The surface of the wall was covered with plants and there was a 3-meter-tall entrance at the bottom. At this moment, martial artists were entering one after another. Relay Station, TSK. This is a rare place to rest in the Forbidden Forest. Yes, this was originally a small inn. Later, more and more people came to rest here. Gradually, it developed into an ancient city. I heard that the people in the ancient city are not strong. However, the martial artists who enter the city do not dare to provoke them. This is because if the people in the city leave, we, the martial artists, will not have a place to rest. As they walked along the main road, the martial artists on the side said happily. It was obvious that they liked the ancient city very much. After entering the ancient city, they realized that it was very simple. It was not as prosperous as they had imagined. Restaurants and inns were built on both sides of the road. There was also an endless stream of passers-by. However, no one dared to cause trouble here. Although the people in the city were not strong, it was obvious that no matter how strong the martial artists were, they would not destroy their own resting place. Passers-by, if you are tired, come here and get some rice. This is a special product of the Forbidden Forest. It is very effective for recovering physical strength. After walking for a few streets, the scene of rice being distributed appeared in front of them. Lin Ling and Do Afterimage were shocked. That is the water spirit rice. You can buy it in the 9 states. It can indeed recover physical strength. However, this kind of divine rice only appears in the Forbidden Forest. I think it was planted by the people in the city. Soon, Do Afterimage was enlightened. The water spirit rice was as big as a pearl. It was crystal clear and looked like water droplets. Moreover, it was not cooked yet. Lin Ling could already smell the fragrance of the rice. This made him secretly lick his lips. He had never eaten this kind of divine rice in his travels in the 9 states. No matter what, he had to try it today. However, when he saw the long line, Lin Ling felt a headache coming on. These guys are working so hard for free food. I really look down on them. Lin Ling curled his lips and said. Do Afterimage, who was beside him, laughed. The two of them joined the line. However, the line was too long. Their enthusiasm gradually died down. Why are we queuing? We have a lot of treasures on us. We can just buy rice and eat it. In the end, Lin Ling was not interested in queuing. He led Do Afterimage and swaggered forward. Guys, please take out your best food. We'll trade it with treasures. After sitting down on a chair, Lin Ling shouted. Since he could not find an yuer in a short period of time, he might as well let go of the shackles in his heart. He would eat and play when he wanted to. Okay. Someone immediately shouted and then got busy. Chapter 3177. Dine and Dash. Water spirit rice, accompanied by the aroma of wine. You can pass after 3 bowls. After the divine rice is cooked, Do Afterimage licks his lips and remembers the ballad about the water spirit rice. Not bad indeed. Lin Ling's appetite was also aroused, and he immediately started eating. It had to be said that the specialty of the ancient forbidden forest was indeed delicious. After drinking a bowl of it, the fatigue of the past few days disappeared quietly. That feeling was as if he had cultivated for 3 days and 3 nights. Furthermore, Lin Ling's physical body was also quietly improving. Boss, 10 more bowls. Lin Ling shouted again. All right. A burly man in cotton clothes immediately replied. How can 10 bowls be enough? Give me 10 more. Seeing Lin Ling wolfing down the food, Do Ying's pupils constricted. This guy really can eat, he hurriedly shouted. I'm envious of them. They must be rich. The people lining up around them all licked their lips. Dear guests, there's something I don't know if I should say or not. The burly man placed the cooked rice on the table and smiled politely. Speak. Lin Ling was still eating. You've already eaten many bowls. I wonder if you two have prepared so much money. The burly man said politely. Then, as if he was afraid that Lin Ling and Huang Xiaolong would get angry, he quickly explained, both of you have an extraordinary aura, so I'm sure you don't lack this small amount of money. However, a bowl of water spirit rice costs 10 emperor crystals, so please take a look. Obviously, Lin Ling and the rest had eaten too much. This burly man was afraid that Lin Ling and the rest couldn't afford it. Hearing this, Do Afterimage frowned. This guy was looking down on them too much. He immediately looked coldly at the burly man, causing the latter's heart to tremble. He subconsciously looked at Lin Ling, because Lin Ling seemed to be much easier to talk to. However, Lin Ling smiled and waved his hand. A bowl of spiritual water rice only costs 10 royal crystals. We can afford it. How about this? I'll pay you first. This young hero is easy to talk to. Seeing this, the burly man was overjoyed. While Lin Ling was about to take out the money, after searching through his entire body, he couldn't find a single royal crystal. Initially, Lin Ling didn't think so much of the royal crystal. However, he had forgotten that he had used all of his royal crystals to form the divine boundary formation. He had also used all the treasures he obtained from the heavenly court for cultivation, and he had used the heavenly courts. By the heavenly court's heavens. Do you take elixirs? Lin, the burly man Afterimage. However, the burly man's face turned ugly. We don't practice martial arts. What do we need pills for? He Afterimage Spirit Wang, the spirit, old Do, do you have any emperor crystals? Lin Ling immediately looked at Do Afterimage. Do Afterimage, the old glutton, was still eating. When Lin Ling looked over, he was stunned for a moment and then said, Royal crystals. I never bring imperial crystals with me. This time, Lin Ling had a headache. As for the people who sent the rice and the burly man, their faces became even more unsightly. In fact, with Lin Ling's strength, he really didn't want to pay. This was a very easy thing to do. However, the other party was a very ordinary farmer, so he really couldn't do something like dine and dash. These two fellows are too thick-skinned. I thought they were rich and overbearing. All sorts of mocking voices could be heard from all around. Sirs, you've gone too far. That tall and sturdy man even took away all the water spirit rice on the table, making Lin Ling speechless. Qi Ji, watch your words. But at this moment, a kind voice suddenly sounded. Then, someone helped an old granny over. Great-grandmother. Seeing the old granny, the burly man immediately became respectful. It could be seen that they came from the same village, and the old granny was obviously a person of virtue and prestige in the village. They're dining and dashing. You know, we're sending rice, but they've also eaten all the water spirit rice that everyone else deserves. The burly man said again. The old granny immediately looked at Lin Ling and Du Haing. She saw indifference from Du Haing, but from Lin Ling's face, she saw apology. They didn't mean it. When you go out, everyone will be careless. Qi Ji, forget it. The old granny smiled kindly. Great-grandmother. The burly man suddenly felt a little unreconciled. I'll treat them to the meal. Is that not enough? The old granny immediately reprimanded, making the burly man nod helplessly. However, he still looked at Lin Ling and Du Haing with resentment. Thank you, old granny. Lin Ling was sweating profusely. He, the emperor of the two great divine prefecture, actually had such an awkward moment. It made him feel very embarrassed. Hee, young man, it's okay. If you're still not full, you can say it. The old granny laughed. At this time, even Du Haing was a little embarrassed. Lin Ling quickly waved his hand. He was too embarrassed to continue eating. He even wanted to leave this place immediately. When he had the imperial crystals, he would immediately return the money to this kind old granny. Great-grandmother, there's a letter from Taiyuan sect. However, at this time, a person suddenly ran over from afar. He looked a little anxious. He held an envelope in his hand and then handed it to the old granny. Seeing this, the old granny was immediately delighted. It's a letter from Yen. She quickly took the letter. However, after reading it carefully, her expression changed greatly and she even stepped back. Great-grandmother. The burly man and the others immediately felt that something was wrong. After taking the envelope, they roughly glanced at it and their expressions changed greatly. Obviously, the contents of the envelope made them feel very helpless. Alas, Yen Er's life is not good. The old granny let out a long sigh. Her eyes also became moist. Lin Ling and Do Kening looked at each other and hurriedly asked, Big brother, what happened? It's none of your business. The burly man's tone was extremely unpleasant. Lin Ling ignored him. He snatched the letter from the burly man's hand and roughly read it. It turned out that the letter was written by the old granny's granddaughter, Yen Er. However, she did not personally write it. It was written by a good friend of Yen Er. Both of them were practicing martial arts in Taiyuan sect. However, a few days ago, both of them were searching for spiritual herbs at the edge of the ancient forbidden forest and were kidnapped by a powerful sect. Now, Yen had been brought to the depths of the ancient forbidden forest. Moreover, she was not the only girl who was taken away. If Yen Er's good friend had not pretended to be dead and avoided the disaster, she would have been brought to the depths of the ancient forbidden forest. The surrounding martial artists often ventured into the ancient forbidden forest. From the old granny's appearance, they could vaguely guess what had happened. During this period, many girls have gone missing. I have been wandering in the periphery of the ancient forbidden forest and heard many people talking about it. It's Purple Cloud Sword Sect. This sect was invited by a powerful sect to enter the ancient Forbidden Forest. However, I did not expect this sect to do such a thing. Chapter 3178. Young Yao. Plop. Hearing their words, the benevolent old man collapsed powerlessly, causing the burly man and the others to be extremely anxious. After a while, the old man gradually woke up, but his eyes were lifeless and his face was extremely pale. Seeing this, Lin Ling hurriedly asked, "Do you know where the Purple Cloud Sword Sect is?" "Why do you ask?" Hearing this, the burly man immediately frowned. "I'll save your granddaughter for you. With just the two of you? Do you know how many people the Purple Cloud Sword Sect has? What about their strength? It's not that we're looking down on you, but there are only two of you. I'm afraid that you'll be killed before you even get close to the Purple Cloud Sword Sect." The tall and sturdy man and the others didn't believe Lin Ling and his companion at all, because these two people would feel guilty because they didn't have the money to pay the bill. Such people were obviously low-level characters. How could they have any powerful strength? True experts were incomparably domineering. How could they be like them? Cut the crap. Seeing this, Lin Ling's gaze turned cold, and his eyes quietly changed. That gaze directly caused the burly man's entire body to tremble. What a cold gaze. This pair of eyes was completely different from the guilty look from before. It was as if the blue-robed youth was wearing two masks. To ordinary people, he was a very ordinary young man, but to his enemies, he was like a god of death. If you want to go to the Purple Cloud Sword Sect, head east along the ancient city. They've been stationed there for a long time. Moreover, there's an ancient relay station there as well. However, that place is very chaotic and can't be compared to this city's tranquility. Therefore, you must be very careful. At this moment, someone in the crowd spoke up. Although they thought that Lin Ling was going to throw his life away, since Lin Ling took the initiative to offer to help, they naturally would not refuse. And the martial artists here would often wander around the Forbidden Forest. More or less, they would run into people from the Purple Cloud Sword Sect, so they knew where they were. "Thanks, old doe. Let's go." Lin Ling bowed to the person who spoke and strode forward. The two of them left the ancient city. However, the burly man and the others were still grieving. They didn't believe that Lin Ling could help them in any way. Purple Cloud Sword Sect, it's them again. They're really unlucky. After leaving the ancient city, Lin Ling immediately headed east. The Purple Cloud Sword Sect is a sect in the west of the 9 states. Although they are somewhat powerful in the Tianzhou and Yunzhou, their strength is only a so-so. I am curious, what kind of powerful force is calling for them? And it seems like there is more than one sect that has been called. Doe Afterimage pondered and said. "You'll know when you get there." Lin Ling smiled. At present, Anuer's whereabouts were still unknown. So, if he wandered around, he might find a way out. Most importantly, they had dined and dashed before, but the old man did not mind at all. Based on this, Lin Ling had to save Yen. The two of them were not weak. With their full strength, they rushed to the other ancient city in one night. At dawn, two figures walked out of the ancient forest. Their faces were filled with exhaustion. It was obvious that they had been harassed by many demonic beasts during the night's journey. After walking out of the forest, a huge ancient wooden fortress appeared in front of them. Different from the ancient city from before, this fortress was built with ancient trees. On top of the ancient trees, huge crossbows were neatly placed. They were probably used to deal with demonic beasts. Lin Ling could vaguely see a boundary array on the crossbows. He knew that these crossbows could gather the chaotic energy of the universe and form a terrifying attack. They were extremely extraordinary. However, entering the city was simple. They just had to follow the passers-by. Moreover, the city was very chaotic. Lin Ling and the others could clearly see the killings in the corners of the streets. As expected, this was a lawless area. As for the Purple Cloud Sword sect, it was easy to find. After all, the Purple Cloud Sword sect was an existence that couldn't be provoked. So, this sect didn't hide any traces. After a while, Lin Ling and Do Afterimage appeared outside a manor. "Young master, shall we go in directly and ask for her?" Do Afterimage licked his lips. His eyes were filled with killing intent. "No, we have to find her first. If Yen dies in the chaos, we'll be ashamed to face that old man." However, Lin Ling shook his head. Moreover, there were many powerful cultivators hidden in the ancient forbidden forest. For safety's sake, it was better to be careful. "Alright, we'll attack after we save Yen. Do Afterimage nodded. Perhaps the Purple Cloud Sword sect was hiding some powerful cultivators. But as long as they saved Yen, even if they couldn't defeat them, it wouldn't be a problem for them to escape unscathed. Moreover, the Purple Cloud Sword sect might not have any powerful cultivators. The two of them concealed their auras and snuck into the manor. The manor was very large. It was obviously difficult to find Yen, in a short period of time. Just as Lin Ling was about to ask someone, several voices came from the corridor ahead. Moreover, 5 young men were slowly walking down the corridor. "Did the sect leader say when we're leaving?" "About 3 days later. However, we haven't found the map yet." "That's a pity. We originally wanted to give the map to young Master Yao in exchange for some treasures. But now, the map has been stolen by some bastard." "Forget it. The map that young Master Yao wants might not be the one that we're looking for. Moreover, young Master Yao has invited many sections. So, even without the map, young Master Yao won't do anything to the Purple Cloud Sword sect." "That's right. However, the girls that we've caught these few days are quite pretty. There are quite a few beauties in the Cloud State. Don't even think about touching those girls. They're used by the sect leader for his cultivation. Unless he doesn't want them." The few of them chatted as they walked down the corridor. In the garden beside the corridor, 2 figures quietly appeared. One of them walked out from the shadows. The other young man walked out from the plants. He was surrounded by black vines and had disappeared into the plants. The 2 of them were Lin Ling and Do Afterimage. "Young Master Yao?" Do Afterimage frowned as he recalled the words of those people. "Elder Do, do you know him?" Lin Ling was instantly curious. "I don't know if the young Master Yao they're talking about is the person I've seen before. 3 years ago, I was assassinating someone in the spirit state and was stopped by someone. That person was young Master Yao." Do Afterimage said solemnly. "Oh, this person is so powerful?" Lin Ling's eyes flashed. "His strength isn't enough to suppress me. However, there are many experts following him and he has treasures on him. I can't do anything to him for the time being. Elder Do, this young Master Yao seems to have a powerful background." "Young Master, this young Master Yao is a member of the ancient demon tribe. The ancient demon tribe can be traced back to the era of the gods. They're the divine demon tribe and the main demon tribe in the 9 states and the 10,000 realms. Most importantly, they're one of the 9 states' 10 evils and they're ranked quite high." 9 states 10 evils? Chapter 3179. Save Yen, That's right. This group of demonic beasts has great rallying power. In the Eastern world, they once swept through thousands of worlds. When the demonic beasts' army moved out, no one could stop them. If they also came to the ancient forbidden forest, it means that there must be something in the ancient forbidden forest that attracted them. Do Afterimage analyzed. Even the 9 prefectures' 10 evils are here. I'm even more convinced that senior sister Yu, is in the ancient forbidden forest. Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled. But this is just a guess. Let's find out if young Master Yao is one of the 9 prefectures' 10 evils. Alright. Do Afterimage nodded. The two of them moved and appeared in the corridor. The trash in front, I have something to ask you. Lin Ling said directly. The few people in front were still moving forward. When they heard the sound behind them, their expressions changed instantly. When they turned around, they saw Lin Ling and Lin Feng. You are. One of them exclaimed. The strength of these people was only at the early stage of the half-saint realm, and they couldn't enter Lin Ling's eyes at all. Whoosh! A cold light flashed, and a sword hung in front of the neck of one of them. Lin Ling and Yi Zichen instantly appeared in front of them. This action directly frightened those people. They knew that they had met an expert. You guys are pretty smart. You didn't shout or scream. Otherwise, my sword wouldn't show any mercy. Lin Ling smiled and said, let me ask you 2 questions. First, what is the background of this young demon master that you speak of? Young Master Yao? What young Master Yao? They looked at each other and shook their heads in confusion. Bang! Lin Ling kicked one of them in the face. The ferocious force directly smashed half of that person's teeth. Moreover, he heard Lin Ling's cold voice, I'll let you not know. I know. That young demon lord is extremely powerful. According to the sect leader, he seems to be a huge force in the 9 prefectures. The person who was kicked immediately confessed. Second question, is there a girl called Yan here? Lin Ling said again and slowly lifted his foot. This action made it clear to them that if they didn't answer, they would be served with a kick. But Yan, They had captured quite a number of people during this period of time, and for a moment, they did not know who Yan, was. Looks like you guys don't know. Seeing this, Lin Ling's voice became cold. Perhaps it was because the threat was too great that those people reacted instantly. They said anxiously, I remember now. When we first entered the Forbidden Forest, we caught a few girls. One of them was called Yan. She also had a friend, but she died on the way. Where is she now? You better not tell me that she's dead. Hearing this, Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. She's not dead, she's not dead. She's in the young master's room. Because the young master has taken a fancy to Yan, Yan hasn't been used by the sect leader to cultivate yet. Those people said in unison. Sect leader, you're using it for cultivation? What kind of cultivation technique does your sovereign cultivate that he actually needs the assistance of a young girl? How could we possibly know about the sect leader's cultivation method? Alright then, where is your young master? Walk along the corridor and you'll find the 3rd room. After a short conversation, Lin Ling had obtained the information he needed. He nodded at Do Kening, then strode away. Do Kening sneered, letting those people know that this old man was going to kill them to silence them. You said that you wouldn't kill us. Idiots, when did we say that? Of course, my young master is kind. He didn't say that he had to kill you. Do Kening said calmly. His words made those people's eyes light up, thinking that they could escape this calamity. However, just because the young master didn't say that he had to kill you doesn't mean that I won't kill you. However, in the next moment, a cold light flashed and the dagger reaped their lives. Do Kening had already come into contact with the Purple Cloud Sword sect twice and did not have a good impression of them. When he heard that the sect leader of the Purple Cloud Sword sect was using young girls for cultivation, his good impression of them was greatly reduced. This also caused Do Kening to not have a good impression of this sect's disciples. He would kill them on sight. Lin Ling walked along the corridor and soon found the 3rd room. The sound of a young girl moaning in pain could be heard from inside. He saw a man who was as fat as a ball, ravaging a young girl. There were a few other young girls tied up beside him, trembling in fear. Hee, after I'm done with this, it'll be your turn next. The fat man wriggled his body and laughed sinisterly. Bang! But at this moment, the door was kicked open and two figures walked in coldly. Who are you? This unforeseen event caused the fat man's face to change. You're the son of the Purple Cloud Sword sect leader. The two people who came in were Lin Ling and Lin Ling. Lin Ling looked at the fat man in disgust and frowned. This man's strength could be said to be at the level of trash. It seemed that he was a hedonistic son who drank too much. How dare you? Do you know where this is? The man did not seem to know that he was about to die and was shouting loudly. Someone come. However, before Lin Ling entered the room, he had already set up a barrier to seal off the sound. Therefore, no matter how much the man shouted, no one came. This caused the man's face to finally change. He was not an idiot. These two people had barged into the Purple Cloud Sword sect's headquarters. They should have some ability. You're the son of the Purple Cloud Sword sect leader. Lin Ling's hand turned into a knife and slashed out, instantly cutting open the man's stomach and leaving a pile of fat on the ground. Ah, you dare hurt me. When had the man suffered such pain? He shouted angrily. You're the son of the Purple Cloud Sword sect leader. Lin Ling asked again. Another slash. Then, he continued to cut. This fat man had too much fat. Anyway, he wouldn't die after a few slashes, so he might as well help him lose weight. I am the son of the sect leader. You want money, right? I'll give you as much as you want. The fat man could not bear the torture and begged for mercy in pain. You want money? Lin Ling and Du Kanying laughed. What did he take them for? Bandits? I want your life. After laughing, Lin Ling could not be bothered to waste any more time. With a slash of his hand, he cut off the fat man's neck. Because he could tell at a glance that the fat man had done many bad things, he did not show any mercy. Looking at the girls around, they were so scared that their faces were pale, and they could not say a word. You don't have to panic. Today, I'm just saving you. Who among you is called Yen? Lin Ling looked at the girls and said. The girls seemed to be still in fear, but soon, a girl about 16 years old walked out and said, Senior, I'm Yen. Lin Ling looked her up and down and immediately nodded. I've been entrusted by your grandmother to save you today. You should go home now. But if we leave, the Purple Cloud Sword sect leader will kill you. Yen was shocked at first, then said worriedly. Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled faintly. Kill us? Sorry, we're the ones who will kill him. Chapter 3180. Choice. The girls in the room didn't seem to be able to react. Finally, one of them said, no matter who they are, this is our only chance to escape. Let's leave now. If the sect leader finds out, we'll definitely die. Okay. Everyone quickly and carefully left the room, afraid that they would alert someone. However, as soon as they walked out of the corridor, they heard a roar in front of them. A sword appeared in the hand of the blue-robed young man. With a slash of his sword, all the houses in front of him were destroyed. This caused the girls to be stunned. They wanted to leave carefully, but who knew that the young man would be so aggressive? It was as if he was afraid that no one would know he was here. He actually made a big fuss here. Don't tell me they want to fight against the entire Purple Cloud Sword sect. Okay. The girls said nervously. However, they knew that there was no time to lose, so they all ran out of here. Who's there? In just a moment, the manor was in an uproar. A large number of martial artists with purple swords arrived. They stared at Lin Ling and the young man in surprise. Because these two people had appeared in the manor, which was heavily protected, and they didn't notice at all. If these two people hadn't courted death and caused a commotion, they probably wouldn't have noticed anyone approaching in this lifetime. Especially when they thought of the Grim Reaper hiding next to them when they slept at night, they couldn't help but shiver. The murderous intent in their eyes became even stronger. "Where's your sect leader?" Seeing the group of people as if they were facing a great enemy, Lin Ling said calmly. "Who are you two, and why are you here?" Not long after, a gentle-looking middle-aged man walked over. He wore a purple robe and held a purple longsword in his hand. The sword was 2 meters long, and a purple rainbow swam around the blade. It looked extremely extraordinary. This was a supreme weapon that had reached the 3rd grade. This middle-aged man was the sect leader of the Purple Cloud Sword sect. His cultivation was at the peak of the half-step saint stage. Seeing this, Lin Ling and the young man relaxed. The sect leader of the Purple Cloud Sword sect wasn't as strong as they thought. "Let's put it this way. We're here today to kill you." Lin Ling went straight to the point. These words caused the people from the Purple Cloud Sword sect to be stunned. This person was really straightforward. "In addition, one of your elders in the ancient Forbidden Forest died in our hands," Lin Ling added. "You're the one who stole the map." The sect leader came to a realization, and his eyes were filled with anger. "Say it again." "Your precious son, that fatty, was just killed by us." Lin Ling's words were shocking to the extreme, and his words finally caused the sect master to fly into a rage. "You don't have to say anything. Next, those who want to die with the sect leader can stay. As for those who want to live, throw down your swords and I'll spare your lives." Before the sect master could speak, Lin Ling spoke first. This was turning the tables. The sect master was furious. He hadn't even made the first move, and these two had already sentenced him to death. As for the members of the Violet Cloud Sword sect, they all frowned. Although they didn't quite believe Lin Ling's words, Lin Ling's confidence affected them again. Would they really die if they stayed? They were obviously hesitating. "Do you think his words will count? Let me tell you, if you surrender, it'll be your turn after those two die." At this moment, the sect leader of the Violet Cloud Sword sect said coldly. His words made them even more hesitant. Perhaps, in their lives, this was the time when they were most hesitant. One was the sect leader. The other was a mysterious powerhouse. If they made the wrong choice, their lives would be left here. "I can kill your elders, and I even dare to provoke your sect leader. Do you think I'm here to play?" As if he could sense their hesitation, Lin Ling spoke as well. His words made everyone's foreheads break out in cold sweat. "I surrender." Finally, a young man threw down the sword in his hand. He was the last to join the Violet Cloud Sword sect, and he didn't know how powerful the Violet Cloud Sword sect was. Therefore, he was very afraid of Lin Ling and Lin Ling. "Purple Bamboo, you." An old man from the Violet Cloud Sword sect spoke in an exasperated voice. He roared, "The Violet Cloud Sword sect is a powerful sect in the west of the 9 states. Over the years, we've encountered many powerful enemies, but in the end, our Violet Cloud Sword sect still survives, and those powerful enemies are all dead. Don't make the wrong choice." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone finally made a decision. The young man who'd thrown down his sword was shocked. He hurriedly wanted to pick it up, but the old man said, "It's too late, it's too late." "Ah." The young man immediately revealed an expression of regret. "It seems that only one person has surrendered. This shows that our Violet Cloud Sword sect is very united." At this moment, the sect leader nodded in satisfaction. He looked at Lin Ling and said, you have a good plan. First, you tried to drive a wedge between us, bewitching our sect, and trying to weaken our strength. Unfortunately, you were too optimistic. Even if the entire sect betrayed me, I can still defeat all of you alone. The reason why I didn't say anything before was to see how many people are loyal to me. However, I'm satisfied with your results. Lin Ling smiled and said indifferently, Elder Do, attack. Yes, young master. Do Kening smiled coldly and disappeared on the spot as if he'd never appeared. This caused the sect leader of the Violet Cloud Sword sect's expression to change. Unfortunately, no one knew how powerful Do Kening was. On the contrary, the others were cheering, hoping that the sect leader could kill the enemy with a single strike. Sect leader, we believe in you. Everyone was shouting loudly. Whoosh! However, before they could finish speaking, a cold light flashed in the void. Soon, it reached the speed of 100 worlds. Oh no! The sect leader of the Violet Cloud Sword sect's expression changed, and he brandished his long sword. Clang! As expected of a sect leader, he had rich combat experience. He actually managed to block the fatal blow. However, Do Kening was at the Saint Realm. Even if he was lucky enough to block the attack, what could he do? Moreover, the long sword in the sect leader's hand was instantly broken into pieces by the dagger. This move directly scared the surrounding people silly. Although they couldn't understand the collision between two experts, they could still see that their sect leader couldn't withstand a single blow. How is this possible? The old man from before let out a sharp cry. The others trembled. They seemed to have made the wrong bet. Kill that young man. The old man knew that in order to catch bandits, he had to capture the leader first. If he could capture Lin Ling, then everything would be over. After all, Do Kening seemed to be led by Lin Ling. Whoosh! 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 The elders of the Violet Cloud Sword sect unleashed their full strength and pounced on Lin Ling. However, in their eyes, Lin Ling was still standing there with his hands behind his back. He didn't seem to notice them at all. He's only at the 3rd level of the Half-Saint Realm. How can he see through our means? Chapter 3181. Young Master Yao's Invitation. He was going to torture them to death. No, he was going to use them to forge his sword. However, they were too optimistic. The young master in their eyes wasn't as weak as they thought. Lin Ling's footsteps finally moved, and he lightly stepped on the ground. Rumble. Something terrifying happened. Lin Ling seemed to have awakened the plants of the netherworld. Black vines grew wildly around him. The entire manor turned into a demonic forest in an instant. The elders who attacked were only at the 7th stage of the Half-Saint Realm. How could they block the vines? They were all entangled and hung in midair. The black vines bared their fangs and brandished their claws. They were extremely terrifying. Amidst the vines, a huge sword appeared in Lin Ling's hand. With a light slash, heads fell to the ground. It was as if he was strolling in his own garden. But this kind of method directly frightened the Purple Cloud Sword sect. Retreat. Even the sect master's expression changed. His opponent had already frightened him. However, the young master wasn't any weaker. He was only at the 3rd stage of the Half-Saint Realm. However, his methods weren't something they could see through. Even a late-stage Half-Saint Realm expert wouldn't be his match. Bang! He slapped the broken sword in his hand. The broken sword turned into endless dust and shot out in all directions. Borrowing this move, he madly fled into the distance. Ah, Sect Master. Of course, this move was a large-scale attack. Therefore, many of the Purple Cloud Sword sect's members were killed. Little Kunlun, leave that young man behind. kill the rest. Seeing the sect master escape, how could Lin Ling let him go? He and Dou Xianing would both be punished. Kunlun. A crisp sound rang out. The black vines grew crazily and covered the entire manor. No one could escape. In the ancient city, many cultivators saw this scene and sucked in a breath of cold air. In his eyes, countless vines sealed off the manor, forming a world of plants that reached thousands of miles high. What is this? As for Yan, and the other girls, they were still hiding in the ancient city. However, when they saw this scene, they were shocked. The endless vines were like a tide, cutting at each other. Everyone from the Purple Cloud Sword sect died, and within the vines, only a single youth remained unscathed. He had already fallen to the ground in fright, his eyes staring at the sword beside him. He was the one who abandoned the sword. Because he abandoned the sword, he was still alive. In the entire Purple Cloud Sword sect, he was the only one who made the right bet. At this moment, Lin Ling and Dou Xianing were chasing after the sect master. To their surprise, the sect master didn't escape the manor. Instead, he ran to a luxurious hall. Xianing uses Xianing yu Xian. This caused Dou Afterimage's expression to change slightly. He was an assassin, and his job was to hunt down the strongest. However, even now, he still couldn't detect any traces of the sect master. Xian to Eliu Xian. Xian Lin Ling stared ahead with his 10,000 mammoth demonic eyes and sneered coldly. In the hall, he saw barriers hidden in every corner. These barriers were hidden very deeply. If not for the myriad mammoth demonic eyes, he wouldn't have noticed them. Of course, as long as he could find this barrier, breaking it wouldn't be difficult. That guy still has this kind of technique? Hearing this, Dou Afterimage was also shocked. In his eyes, Lin Ling waved his hands and began to break the barrier. A moment later, a bronze door appeared in the corner of the hall. In fact, the bronze door had always been there, but the people who entered the hall were concealed by the barrier, so they couldn't sense it at all. This bronze door can hide all auras, so we can't find him through the aura. However, as long as we enter the bronze door, we will be able to find his aura. Lin Ling took the lead, opened the bronze door, and entered. Inside, there was a dim corridor. As they walked forward, they saw a huge secret chamber. At the same time, a middle-aged man was rapidly collecting the treasures on the ground. He was the Grand Master. He could have escaped from the manor, but he didn't want to give up the treasures in the secret chamber. He was still hiding in the manor with the hope of getting lucky. However, he also noticed Lin Ling and Dou Afterimage's arrival, and his face changed drastically. Sure enough, two figures slowly walked out from the shadows. "Seniors, I have countless treasures here. I'll give them all to you. I hope you can spare my life." The Grand Master knelt down and handed over a large number of treasures. These treasures were indeed extraordinary. There were many imperial crystals, pills, and rare spiritual herbs. However, the two of them ignored him. Instead, they looked around and saw a large number of young girls hanging by spiritual chains. Many of the chains were inserted into their bodies, and a mysterious power was being sucked out of their bodies. Looking at the source of all the chains, it was a purple sword that exuded an evil aura. The Grand Master was using countless young girls to forge a sword. At this moment, Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. He stretched out his left hand and a 5-meter-long dragon bow appeared. A dragon roared and shot an arrow at the evil purple sword. "No!" When the Grand Master saw this, he cried out in alarm. Unfortunately, it was useless. Under the arrow, the evil sword shattered and let out a young girl's cry of pain. "You deserve to die." Lin Ling turned his bow and pointed it at the Grand Master. "Don't kill me, don't kill me. I can give you anything you want." When the Grand Master saw this, he couldn't care less about the pain in his heart and cried out anxiously. No treasure can exchange for your life. Lin Ling shook his head. The arrow was fatal. Rumble. Moreover, this arrow was extremely terrifying. It was no longer in the shape of a thin arrow. Instead, it was extremely thick and solid, like a huge dragon god. After breaking through to the Grand Master level, his entire body was smashed into pieces and he couldn't be more dead. Lin Ling looked around and held the sword in his hand. He cut off the spiritual chains on the young girls one by one. During this process, Do Afterimage went to collect the treasures. As for the young girls who were saved, some of them woke up, while others had closed their eyes forever. Take them away from here. Looking at the young girls who were saved, Lin Ling sighed softly. If he had come earlier, he could have saved more people. Thank you, benefactor. All the girls looked at Lin Ling with gratitude. From today onwards, they had escaped from the sea of bitterness. But no matter what happened in the future, the blue-robed youth today was something they would never forget for the rest of their lives. Young master, come here. At this time, Do Afterimage cried out in alarm and Lin Ling hurried over. Do Afterimage collected most of the treasures on the ground and handed them over to Lin Ling. An exquisite jade token appeared in Do Afterimage's hand. The jade token had a ferocious beast's head on it and it was biting on a piece of jade. The words "Demon Token" were engraved on it. This is... Lin Ling was puzzled. Young Demon Master's invitation token. Do Afterimage said with a profound smile. Hearing this, Lin Ling also smiled. He was thinking about how to join Young Demon Master's plan, but now he had received an invitation token. Chapter 3182. The key to enter the mountain. This token is also pointing out the direction. I think it's the gathering place. Du Kening said again. Then there's no time to lose. Let's hurry over. The two of them hurriedly left the secret chamber. When they arrived outside the manor, they saw a large number of young girls quietly waiting there. When they saw Lin Ling, they all bowed in gratitude. Thank you, benefactor. Neat voices drifted out. Everyone, there's no need to be so courteous. Saving you guys was just a small matter. Everyone, go back. Lin Ling couldn't help but smile as he looked at the girls. He stared at one of them and said, Yen, right? After you go back, help me thank your grandmother for that meal. These words naturally caused Yenner to be a little confused. However, Lin Ling did not explain anything and left with Do Kening. Seeing Lin Ling leave in such a carefree manner, many young girls felt reluctant to part with him. But in the end, they missed their families and left one by one. It was the same for Yen. After a day of traveling, she finally returned to her hometown. Looking at the ancient city, she felt as if she had survived a disaster. Then, she rushed into the ancient city. Grandma, Uncle Kizi. The feeling of surviving a calamity was great. Of course, Yen also wanted to know why that handsome young man had helped her. At this moment, in the ancient city, the old granny finally woke up. However, her face was pale and incomparably sad. One had to know that she had experienced a very long life and had seen through everything. The only thing she cared about was her little granddaughter. But now, her granddaughter was gone. What was the point of her living? But at this moment, a familiar voice came from afar. Her mind jolted, and so did the others. They rushed out of the hut and saw a young girl running over from afar. Who else could this young girl be but Yen? Yen. The old granny cried out in alarm and frantically pounced over. The others also trembled, and they all became excited. Yen, you're finally back. This isn't a dream, right? The old granny hugged Yen and said incoherently. I'm back, I'm finally back. Grandma, the people you invited are really formidable. Not only did they save me, they even saved many innocent people. Yen started crying as she spoke. However, her words stunned the others. The old granny said, we didn't invite anyone. They were from the Violet Glow Sword sect. How could ordinary people be a match for them? Grandma, those two people directly destroyed the Purple Cloud Sword sect. Of the entire sword sect, only one person escaped. Why would I lie to you? Yen was also stunned for a moment. Then, she frowned and said, Grandma, did you treat a young man to a meal? He was wearing a blue robe and looked very handsome. Yesterday, there was a young man who came to eat. Could it be that he saved you? The old granny suddenly thought of something and her whole body trembled. Never had she imagined that because of a moment of kindness, that young man would actually save her granddaughter. Can is. How could a mere few bowls of aqua spirit rice compare to her granddaughter's life? It's him. The robust man and the others at the side gasped as well. They felt that the young man was very amiable earlier, so they thought that the young man was just an ordinary person. But never had they imagined that the two of them had actually overturned the entire Violet Dawn Sword sect. So, their hearts trembled once more when they thought up to here. They'd failed to recognize such an expert when he was right by their side. Most importantly, they'd actually looked down upon these experts and reprimanded them. Fortunately, they didn't mind. Otherwise, they'd probably be dead. At this moment, Lin Ling didn't know what had happened here. Even if he did, he wouldn't care. In his opinion, he would definitely not miss a chance to help others. Moreover, he'd finally repaid the favor he owed the old granny. Both of them moved swiftly through the forest according to the direction indicated by the command token. However, to Lin Ling's surprise, the devil beasts they encountered grew stronger and stronger as they went deeper into the forest. There were some devil beasts that even Do Kening didn't dare face. After all, Do Kening was at the third level of the Saint Realm. Coupled with his identity as an assassin, he'd even killed a fifth-level Saint Realm expert. From this, one could see how ferocious these devil beasts were. Fortunately, even though Lin Ling couldn't deal with the devil beasts, his illusion god True Inheritance was powerful. Therefore, he was able to avoid the devil beasts and even saved Do Kening a few times. Young master, your soul force martial technique is too heaven-defying. You have to know that devil beasts are naturally sensitive. Ordinary concealment techniques can't avoid their intuition. On the other hand, your illusions can deceive them. Do Kening couldn't help but speak with admiration. Lin Ling's cultivation wasn't high, but he was unable to see through his various trump cards. Moreover, those trump cards were still in the growth stage. It was hard to imagine how terrifying their might would be if they were fully developed. That was indeed the case. Lin Ling's great solar calamity bow had only shot 3 arrows at the moment. He'd just touched the threshold of the 1,000 transformations True Inheritance. As for the scabbard and the spacetime divine steel, they hadn't reached their limits. Not long after, an ancient mountain appeared in front of them. The mountain was surrounded by black silt that rolled and emitted a fishy smell. This mountain was one of the more conspicuous mountains in the vicinity. However, the mountain was extremely quiet. Aside from the silt, there was nothing else. Wait! Lin Ling suddenly shouted and stopped Do Kening from moving forward, causing Do Kening to be puzzled. Lin Ling didn't say much. He kicked a stone at his feet. Roar! Just as the stone passed above the silt seemed to awaken like a devil beast. It turned into a huge mouth and swallowed the stone. Seeing this, Lin Ling's expression changed slightly. He activated his 10,000 elephant demon eyes and saw an ancient stone tablet buried in the depths of the silt. The stone tablet was engraved with complicated runes and was bound by a chain. It seemed to be engraved at the core of the silt. What is this? Dou Kening gasped. World-swallowing beast. Lin Ling said solemnly, and it's a world-swallowing beast controlled by someone. What? Dou Kening was shocked. The world-swallowing beast was an extremely mysterious existence in the universe. Someone actually controlled the world-swallowing beast. It seems like we're in the territory of young demon master. Other than the ancient demon race, no one else should have such means. Lin Ling said as he looked into the distance. His godly demon body was also a world-swallowing beast, so he felt a sense of familiarity. Take out the token and see if we can enter the mountain. Lin Ling said. Dou Kening quickly did as he was told. However, after the token appeared, the silt in front of them rolled and a yellow road appeared. The road led to the mountain. Let's go. Lin Ling suddenly understood that the token was the key to entering the mountain. Chapter 3183. Probing. Most importantly, this realm-swallowing beast was the biggest one Lin Ling had ever seen. It could easily swallow a saint. Fortunately, their journey forward was safe and sound. Instead, a gap appeared in front of them, and a large number of cultivators were standing in front of the gap. These martial artists were all dressed differently, as if they were on guard against something. Who are you? Lin Ling and the others had just approached when one of them shouted angrily. I was invited. Seeing this, Lin Ling replied indifferently. Oh, then what power do you belong to? Hearing this, the people in front seemed to have let down their guard. Purple Cloud Sword Sect. Lin Ling spoke again. Everyone, be careful. This person might have been sent by other forces. Get ready to notify the realm-swallowing beast and devour them. Who knew that just as Lin Ling opened his mouth, the people over there immediately acted as if they were facing a great enemy. This made Dou Afterimage's eyes turn cold. He was ready to kill. Before the world-swallowing beast could swallow him, he rushed into the mountain. But Lin Ling stopped him. What nonsense are you talking about? On the contrary, Lin Ling slowly walked forward. We've seen the Purple Cloud Sword Sect before. They have quite a few people and they all have purple swords in their hands. But you don't have purple swords and there are only 2 of you. Therefore, I am sure that you are not from the Purple Cloud Sword Sect. Speak, who are you? The one who spoke was a one-armed man. Hearing this, Lin Ling didn't speak any further. He continued forward until he arrived before the one-armed man and fiercely slapped him. Have you fucking eaten shit? How dare you slander our Purple Cloud Sword Sect? This slap instantly stunned the one-armed man, and it was the same for Dou Afterimage. However, he was prepared to face the wrath of these experts. But unexpectedly, this slap had the opposite effect. Hee, I was just testing the waters. After all, young Master Yao's grand plan is no small matter. I'm most afraid that other forces will sneak in and cause trouble. I hope you can forgive me for offending you earlier. The one-armed man suddenly laughed and bowed slightly towards Lin Ling. This caused Dou Afterimage's eyes to flash. He immediately knew that this was a test. If they weren't from the Purple Cloud Sword Sect, then they would have felt guilty after being yelled at by the one-armed man. If they were from the real Purple Cloud Sword Sect, then they would have tried their best to clear their names. Although, this kind of trick was full of loopholes if one thought about it carefully. But from the mouth of the world-swallowing beast, most people would not have thought so much. Young master, you're quite experienced. Dou Afterimage couldn't help but secretly admire Lin Ling. Pa! However, who would have thought that Lin Ling would slap him again, as if he was still angry? Do you know what you were doing before? If we leave, young Master Yao's plan will be ruined by you. When that happens, can you bear the responsibility? Lin Ling roared and scolded the one-armed man until he was bleeding profusely. But the more it was like this, the more certain these people were that Lin Ling and the others were from the Purple Cloud Sword sect. Young master, we have offended you before. Look. The one-armed man quickly took out an imperial crystal and handed it to Lin Ling with a smile. We are from the Tiger Wolf sect in the west of Zhuzhou. We were ordered by young Master Yao to guard the gate. We have offended you before, please forgive us. That's more like it. Lin Ling knew when to stop, but he still looked as if he was still angry. Go in, go in. Young Master Yao said that the invited sects are like honored guests. Once you enter, you can eat and drink well. You can have whatever you want. The one-armed man and the others were completely afraid of Lin Ling. They couldn't wait for this little brat to enter the mountain. Let's go. Lin Ling snorted and walked forward slowly. Behind him, Do Afterimage was tongue-tied. There were imperial crystals to buy. Only young master would be able to do something like this as a fake. The two of them entered the mountain through the gap. What was surprising was that the mountain seemed to be another world. It was like a huge city. There were restaurants, inns, and a large number of beautiful women on the streets for him to pick. Looking around, it was crowded. There were experts from sects, itinerant cultivators, and even people from dynasties. This young Master Yao is really daring. He actually summoned so many big forces. Do Afterimage said secretly, I wonder who they are fighting against. Those who can fight against the ancient demon race are the other Zhuzhou 10 evils, and the big forces of Zhuzhou, such as the Heavenly Court, the Flying Dragon Organization, Fu Hang Manor, and so on. Of course, we can't rule out the possibility of the Zhuzhou Divine Emperors. Lin Ling said secretly. If the Zhuzhou Divine Emperors are also here, they must be on the same level as Emperor Yu of Yuzhou. The other divine emperors are not qualified to fight against them. Do Afterimage nodded and suddenly reminded, be careful, someone is watching us. I have sensed it too. This young Master Yao is really cautious. Lin Ling nodded secretly and led Do Afterimage forward. Along the way, he flirted with a beauty and then brought her into the inn. After entering the inn, Lin Ling sensed that the surveillance had disappeared. It seemed that the surveillance was only a general investigation. However, when they saw Lin Ling's lecherous look, they obviously relaxed their vigilance. After Lin Ling knocked out the beautiful woman who brought him into the inn, he immediately set up a barrier and began to wait quietly. 3 days passed quietly. On this day, all the powerful beings were gathered on the streets. Following which, an elderly man and a young man walked out. The elderly man took the lead and said, I'm indebted to everyone for participating in this mission. On behalf of the ancient demon race, I would like to thank everyone. The young man had his hands behind his back and narrowed his eyes. He looked like he was only an 8th stage half-saint, but no one dared to underestimate him. This was because there was a mysterious aura around him. It was especially so for Lin Ling. His 10,000 mammoths' devil eyes could clearly sense the enormous demon god elephant behind the young man. This demon god was so terrifying that it seemed to be able to swallow Qing province in one gulp. This also made Lin Ling realize that this person might be the young Master Yao of the ancient demon race. Because we are going to enter that place and take back the sacred object of the demon race, we are counting on everyone. However, as long as everyone contributes, you will be able to obtain the ancient demon race's token. You will be able to summon the demon race's army once. This is an absolute guarantee token. Everyone, take it. The old man waved his right hand and a large number of tokens flew out and landed in everyone's hands. Everyone was ecstatic. This was the strongest life-saving trump card. So good? Do Afterimage was secretly shocked. This token has a seal on it. On the surface, it looks like it can summon the ancient demon tribe. However, it will only be effective after a year. This means that if everyone dies in the following journey, the token will no longer be effective. Therefore, this token is only used to temporarily calm people down. Lin Ling shook his head and quietly destroyed the barrier on the token. This was because he discovered that the token also had a tracking barrier. It could track everyone's whereabouts. This is only the first reward. After we reach that place, there will be more rewards. However, our opponents are not weak. There are the 9 prefectures' 10 evils, the land of eternal slumber, the immortal temple, the divine escort mansion, the heavenly court, and Emperor Yu of Yu province. These are the opponents we know about. There are bound to be opponents we don't know about. Therefore, I hope that everyone can work together. The old man said again, and many people nodded excitedly. Chapter 3184. Fire God Ant. Let's go. The old man did not say much. He raised his arms and shouted. Let's go. All the experts were in high spirits as they left the mountain in a grandiose manner. They did not even know their destination, but they were still so excited. Lin Ling shook his head. These people were being used by others, and they probably did not know. Of course, some were excited, and some were as calm as Lin Ling. They hid in the crowd and followed the crowd. A large group of people passed through the ancient forbidden forest. There were Sage Realm strong fighters and half-sages. The strongest were undoubtedly young Beast Master and the group of people around him. However, the demonic beasts in the ancient forbidden forest seemed to have been left behind by the gods. They had been changed by the gods and were naturally stronger than the demonic beasts outside. Moreover, through the conversations of the martial artists, Lin Ling knew that even the ancient cities left behind in the ancient forbidden forest seemed to have been left behind by the gods. Some of these ancient cities were left intact, and some were moved from other places. It was as if a god had lived in the ancient forbidden forest a long, long time ago. Along the way, Lin Ling secretly checked on young Beast Master. He realized that young Beast Master was stronger than he had imagined. He was afraid that the realm-swallowing beast was controlled by young Beast Master. Without the realm-swallowing beast, Lin Ling was confident that he would not be weaker than young Beast Master. But now, he could not help but admire young Beast Master. Young Beast Master was obviously a genius of the 9 states. He was probably not much weaker than Li Xiaoyao in the past. Of course, Lin Ling did not dare to check too much. He was afraid that young Beast Master would discover him. Along the way, the group encountered extremely strong demonic beasts. Even strong fighters like young Beast Master could not do anything about them. They were forced to change their path. From this, Lin Ling knew that young Beast Master had a map. Moreover, Lin Ling knew that young Beast Master had a more comprehensive map. Of course, Lin Ling had a part of the map. The missing part might be very important. On this day, young Beast Master suddenly raised his fist. The group immediately stopped and looked at young Beast Master. Young Beast Master's expression was very serious. Everyone was shocked. For young Beast Master to have such an expression, could there be something in front of them? Drip 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 drip. Almost at the same time, a sound that made one's scalp go numb rang out, like raindrops falling to the ground. Upon closer inspection, the ground of the forest ahead was actually red soil. No, it wasn't red soil. Instead, there were unknown insects crawling on it. Most importantly, there were so many of them that they covered the entire ground. There was no end in sight. Young Master Yao, what is that? Seeing this, the old man next to the young beast lord cried out in alarm. He was a late-stage Saint Realm expert, but at that moment, his face was filled with fear. Fire God Ant. Young Master Yao spat out a sentence. What? The fear on the old man's face grew even stronger. He asked, "Do we need to take a detour?" "We can't take a detour. We're almost at the demon metropolis. If we take another detour, who knows how much time we'll have to waste. Most importantly, the other factions have probably already entered the demon metropolis. We can't be slower than them," Young Yao said coldly. "But..." The old man hesitated. "Barge in." The young beast lord raised his arm. His words caused the expressions of all the cultivators to change drastically. The path of martial arts is filled with thorns. How can it be peaceful? If you want to become a god, you can't do without suffering. Everyone, charge in with me. Without waiting for the others to say anything, the young beast lord had already taken the lead. He turned into a green light, and his speed reached 60 world speed. Meanwhile, the others were still hesitating. "Young master, how is it?" Dou Kenning also hurriedly looked at Lin Ling. Lin Ling's eyes continued to flicker. This land was filled with fire god ants. This was an extremely terrifying demonic beast that specialized in devouring the realm essence of martial artists. They were not afraid of the power of water, fire, lightning, wind, and so on. Moreover, as long as a single fire god ant entered the body, the martial artist's dantian would be bitten into pieces. According to the rules, they definitely couldn't go in now. However, if they didn't go in, they would miss out on an yuer. Moreover, entering a dangerous place was extremely dangerous. The path of survival was often hidden in the path of death. "Go in," Lin Ling said decisively. He shot forward with Dou Kenning. At this moment, many people had already moved. On the ground, the fiery red ants gradually wriggled like an ocean. It made one's scalp tingle. Before long, someone in front was swallowed by the fire god ants. He cried out in pain. Not even his bones were left behind. He was directly eaten clean. Go to hell. Someone panicked and released a powerful martial art. A light wave blasted towards the fire god ants. Stop! The young beast lord at the front roared. He looked anxious, but it was clearly too late. The fire god ants had a hard red shell. The light wave could only disperse them, but it couldn't kill them. On the contrary, the fire god ants on the ground had all awakened. They flew up in a mighty manner, filling the sky. And this was the result of the attack. Young master, speed up. Dou Kenying's expression changed when he saw this terrifying scene. He dragged Lin Ling's arm and rushed forward crazily. Lin Ling only had 50 world speed. Naturally, he couldn't compare to an assassin like him. Dou Kening burst forth with full speed. Lin Ling continued to attack. He waved his sword and swept the fire god ants away. Looking around, martial artists were falling one after another. Some didn't even have time to cry out in pain before their souls were scattered. The path of martial arts was full of thorns. At this moment, it was exposed. Heaven and hell were only one step away. Not good. Before long, Dou Kenying's expression turned ugly. A large area of fire clouds had appeared in front of them. Moreover, it was enveloping them. They had nowhere to run. Illusionary God True Inheritance, 1000 Transformations. At the critical moment, Lin Ling released illusions. He controlled everything within 1,000 miles. Finally, he used the illusions to bewitch the fire god ants. The two of them rushed out from the side. Even so, their foreheads were covered in cold sweat. Young master, be careful. However, Dou Kening suddenly stared at Lin Ling. This was because there was a fire god ant crawling on Lin Ling's arm. If the fire god ant entered his body, then Lin Ling's dantian would definitely collapse. Kunlun. At the critical moment, the black vines grew crazily and wrapped around Lin Ling's left arm. They entangled the fire god ant and began to devour it. What surprised Lin Ling was that it was just a fire god ant, but little Kunlun had been devouring it for a long time. It had even entered a deep slumber. From this, it could be seen how strong the fire god ant's defense was. Looking back, the crowd was falling one after another. It was as though this path had been forcefully opened with blood. No wonder young Demon Master wanted to gather the various large sections. So that's why. Lin Ling also completely understood young Demon Master's intentions. With young Demon Master alone, he might not be able to clear this hurdle. And this fiery red land was vast and boundless, as though there was no end to it. Fortunately, Lin Ling had rushed into the sea of fire god ants in the first few waves. This actually brought him benefits. This was because the fire god ants were mostly staring at the martial artists behind. As for those martial artists who were hesitating previously, they were now in trouble. Chapter 3185. The atmosphere was tense. When he turned back to look, the fire god ants behind him made his scalp go numb. They had already formed a large cloud of fire. Only a few people were lucky enough to rush out. As for young Master Yao, he stared coldly behind him. No one knew what he was thinking. "Young Master, I'm afraid there are less than 3,000 people rushing over," the old man said solemnly. "I've already guessed it." Young Demon Lord snorted coldly and left. This time, they had gathered tens of thousands of people, but now, there were less than 3,000 people left. From this, one could see how cruel the ancient forbidden forest was. Everyone moved forward again, but this time, they were much more cautious. Fortunately, young Master reacted quickly. If we had hesitated before, we wouldn't have been able to pass this hurdle. Following that, everyone's afterimages appeared beside Lin Ling. They felt as if they had just survived a calamity. As the king of assassins, his name had caused the entire 9 continents to tremble in fear. However, in the ancient forbidden forest, he was nothing more than a puny ant. This forbidden area of the 9 prefectures was a place where only the strongest experts of the 9 prefectures dared to come and play. If it weren't for the fact that there were enough people to attract the fire god ant's attention, we might not have been able to make it here. It's a pity for those people. Lin Ling shook his head. Young Master is still not ruthless enough. You should know that I would rather betray the world than let the world betray me. Their death is better than our death. Afterimage was an assassin, so he was naturally more ruthless. Hearing that, Lin Ling didn't say much. He was not a saint who only cared about the people around him. But this time, it was those innocent people who used their lives to save him. This made him feel a little guilty. After all, Lin Ling's principle was to treat others the same way they treated him. Moving forward, they arrived at a hilly area that looked like ruins. The ground was riddled with holes, and there were holes the size of a finger. The surroundings were filled with towering and ferocious boulders. They sat on the ground like demonic beasts baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. Young Master Yao. Not long after, a cry of surprise came from the front. He saw a large group of people gathered under a huge rock. Many of them were looking at Lin Ling. This was clearly another force. Celestial Emperor? Emperor Yun? Godly Escort Mansion? At the same time, young Master Yao stopped and looked at the group of people indifferently. Both sides immediately acted as if they were facing a great enemy. I didn't expect the Heaven Sovereign and the Cloud Sovereign to join the Godly Escort Mansion. Young Master Yao clasped his hands behind his back and secretly checked his surroundings. Then, he stepped forward slowly. Obviously, he didn't see any more powerful experts around him, which made him relax a little. Moreover, his gaze swept across the ground, and he immediately saw a huge bone dragon corpse. Although it had turned into a fossil, the dragon's might still hadn't decreased. With just his eyesight, young Master Yao knew that it was a nether dragon corpse terror. At the same time, Lin Ling also stared at the Celestial Emperor. Wasn't this the Celestial Emperor from the Great World's Jiang family? In the past, he had been completely dominated by his boat of gods. Who would have thought that he would meet him here? However, there were a lot of people around young Master Yao, so the Celestial the Arch did not see Lin Ling. Humph, we are Celestial Emperors. How can we do such a shameful thing? We didn't join the Divine Escort Mansion. We were invited by the Heavenly Court. After a moment of silence, the Celestial the Arch also spoke. Obviously, he also saw that although young Master Yao had a lot of experts, it shouldn't be enough to defeat them. The Heavenly Court? Speaking of the Heavenly Court, veins appeared on young Master Yao's forehead. There were even mysterious demon runes flashing. He said coldly, "You guys are really dogs. There are so many great forces in the 9 states. You don't listen to their orders, but you listen to the Heavenly Court. Very good, very good." He seemed to be angry. The Heavenly Court's vitality has been greatly damaged, so they invited us experts to help. We don't listen to their orders. Young Master Yao, I know you want the Nether Dragon corpse, but have you asked for our permission? The Cloud Sovereign also spoke. He was the strongest Celestial Emperor in the Cloud State. Although the Eternal Forbidden Forest belongs to the Cloud State, this is a place left behind by the gods. In this place, you can't summon the ancient power. Without the ancient power, you, Cloud Sovereign, are just an ordinary saint. This Nether Dragon corpse, I want it. Young Master Yao bared his teeth. They were like the teeth of a demon god. The two forces began to draw their swords and bows. A great battle on the level of the 9 states instantly erupted. They were all fighting for the Nether Dragon corpse on the ground. This was a dragon god corpse, and it had the demon dragon attribute of the dragon race. And the Nether Dragon's rank was extremely high among the dragon gods. It was even higher than the Yin dragon. Its corpse was also full of treasures. Rumble. For this treasure, the two sides crazily clashed, causing countless deaths and injuries. On the other hand, young Master Yao was fighting the Cloud Sovereign alone. Demonic aura surged from his body. His entire body seemed to have turned into an octopus, and countless arms appeared behind him. Legend has it that young Master Yao was nurtured by the 10,000 demonic beast pill. You have the aura and talent of 10,000 demonic beasts. Boom! The Cloud Sovereign was in the Saint Realm, which was several realms higher than young Master Yao. Naturally, he wasn't afraid. Boom! Boom! In the sky, a chaotic battle broke out. The white clouds and rolling demonic clouds continued to clash. As for the Divine Escort Mansion and the Sky Emperor, they were fighting with the people beside young Master Yao. It had to be said that the Sky Emperor wasn't very strong. On the other hand, there were 3 saints from the Divine Escort Mansion who were stronger. One of them was holding a brush, and his power had reached 80%. Another one was holding a sky-splitting axe, and he had a 6th grade desolate body talent. Moreover, his true god martial soul had been unsealed, reaching the 4th seal. The last one was a woman. She held a red whip, and it looked like a dancing dragon. These 3 were the best of the Divine Escort Mansion. They were existences that couldn't be underestimated in the Saint Realm. Lin Ling and the Sky Emperor had also joined the battle. They looked weak, but their overall strength was above average. However, they weren't stupid enough to use their full strength. Therefore, they dealt with their opponents. Lin Ling was fighting with an expert at the 7th level of the Half-Saint Realm while he was investigating the surroundings. The expert was very depressed. His opponent was clearly a 3rd heaven half-saint, and he was about to kill him, but he was able to escape from his killing intent. This made him feel as if the blue-robed young man was playing with him. Most importantly, the blue-robed young man exclaimed from time to time, "So powerful. I can't block this move anymore." In fact, the blue-robed young man was still able to block it easily. Fuck. What the hell is this guy? The expert was speechless. He looked at Lin Ling again. "Young master, what's wrong?" Lin Ling nodded. "What's wrong?" This was because Lin Ling was a little absent-minded. "Hee, I didn't expect this to be a dragon's den. Old doe, follow me." After a while, Lin Ling sent a telepathic message to the Sky Emperor. Apparently, his 10,000 demonic eyes had detected something strange. Of course, the most important thing was that he sensed a familiar summoning sound. It came from the scabbard behind him. This made him think that there must be a broken sword nearby. Without saying anything else, Lin Ling sent the expert in front of him flying. Then, he and the Sky Emperor went underground and approached the ground quietly. Chapter 3186. Nether Dragon Accompanying Liquid. Lin Ling gradually came to the side of a huge rock. This huge rock was like a tower, and there were claw marks on it. It seemed to have been scratched by the claws of the Nether Dragon. Beside the huge dragon, there was a small hole half the size of a person. It looked extremely ordinary. But Lin Ling immediately charged into the cave. The cave was not big and could be seen in one glance. The ground was littered with treasures, but after so long, those treasures were a bit dim. Instead, a fragrance floated over. On a platform, there was a broken eggshell. The eggshell was about the size of a millstone. When he got closer, there was clear water inside, and the fragrance came from the clear water. Heavens, we actually encountered such a great treasure. Seeing the eggshell, Doing could not help but exclaim. Even Lin Ling was overjoyed. Because that was the Nether Dragon accompanying liquid. It was brought by the small Nether Dragon when it had just hatched. Normally, this liquid was used for the growth of the little Nether Dragon. It was the essence of a dragon. Right now, the little Nether Dragon was nowhere to be found, but half of the liquid had not been eaten. This also meant that the situation was urgent, so the little Nether Dragon was forced to leave. "Quick, quick, quick, take out the jade bottle." Lin Ling panicked. He and Doing quickly and carefully put away the Nether Dragon accompanying liquid. These treasures could not only increase cultivation, but also increase talent, rank power, soul power, and so on. It was one of the rarer treasures in 9 provinces that could increase all aspects. Therefore, even though there was still some left in the eggshell, Doing could not bear to waste it. He picked up the eggshell and licked it without caring about his image. Of course, how could Lin Ling let him take advantage of it? Therefore, he also snatched it. Licking the fragrant liquid, Lin Ling could clearly feel that his physical strength was crazily increasing. His godly demon body and dragon bones were also transforming. A warm current flowed through Lin Ling's body, making Lin Ling feel that he had turned into a dragon. His physical strength had increased to 400 world power. When he looked again, all he saw were afterimages. He had actually successfully advanced to another realm. His entire person seemed to be drunk. With a red face, he began to laugh loudly. Lin Ling also allowed his physical body to transform. Unfortunately, the eggshell had turned into a fossil. Otherwise, it would be a rare treasure. Then, he went to the pile of treasures at the side and hurriedly searched. Most of these treasures had lost their spiritual energy. However, among them, Lin Ling finally saw a broken sword. Although this broken sword was smaller than the one he saw in Tianzhou, it was enough to make Lin Ling excited for a long time. At the same time, the scabbard behind him also floated up and began to absorb the broken sword. This broken sword? Do Afterimage stared at the broken sword, secretly shocked. From the broken sword, he sensed a killing intent that was even more terrifying than his own. Could it be that before this sword was complete, it was the dragon-slaying sword? The nether dragon died to this sword? One had to know that in the era of gods, there had been the dragon-slaying clan. However, for some reason, this clan had completely disappeared. In fact, when Lin Ling killed Brocade Dust Saint last time, the Sunshine Ice Heaven furnace in his hand was left behind by the dragon-slaying clan. Later, Lin Ling added it to the Spirit State's divine array to strengthen the Yin Dragon's soul. That was why the Yin Dragon's soul was able to block the attack of the martial ancestor. Do Afterimage continued to make wild guesses. In the end, he realized that Lin Ling's scabbard was extremely extraordinary. There's a dragon egg here? At this moment, a cry of surprise suddenly sounded. At the entrance of the cave, a figure rushed in like a madman. He looked around and then charged towards the dragon egg. However, the dragon egg was already empty. This caused the person to sigh softly. Then, he said angrily, "What kind of treasure did you two obtain here?" This person's voice carried a thick heavenly might, as if a god emperor had arrived. In fact, he was indeed a god emperor. He was the #1 god emperor in Tianzhou, the Sky Emperor. However, when the Sky Emperor entered, Lin Ling and Brocade Dust Saint had already seen him. However, Lin Ling was waiting for the scabbard to be refined, so he did not pay attention to him. "What kind of treasure did you obtain? Hand it over." The Sky Emperor was even more furious. He was the #1 person in Tianzhou. When had he ever been ignored like this? Although there were countless experts in this trip to the ancient Forbidden Forest, not many people could make him wary. Moreover, the two people in front of him were definitely not them. His gaze finally landed on Do Afterimage. However, he shook his head. He did not know this person. Then, he looked at Lin Ling. His expression instantly became interesting. His mouth opened wide. It was as if he was a duck that had been grabbed by the neck. The demonic sun. The Sky Emperor let out a sharp cry. His expression was as if he had seen a ghost. Even if the young man in front of him turned into ashes, he would definitely recognize him. Back then, in the Great World's Jiang family, the demonic sun had destroyed the Jiang family right in front of him. He even held his neck in his hand and shocked the entire Tianzhou. At that time, he was like a child in front of the boat of gods. He could not resist at all. After that, he found out that this young man was the new realm emperor of Spirit State. He even used the great array of gods to almost destroy the gods of Heaven Court. At that time, the Sky Emperor knew that he had offended a terrifying existence. He was probably on par with the monster young master. Where is this? Seems like I've come to the wrong place. My battlefield is outside. Damn it, I knew that the two Dao Masters were lying to me. There's no treasure in this cave. There's not even a shadow of a person. I'd better go back and continue fighting. Suppressing his shock, the Sky Emperor suddenly laughed and pretended that he did not see Lin Ling and Brocade Dust Saint. After laughing, he turned around and left. "Old Do, kill him." However, just as he moved, a cold voice came from behind him. Cold sweat dripped down his forehead. "Run." That was the only thought in his mind. He shouted anxiously. "Son of demon, I didn't see you. Do you think we're idiots?" How could Lin Ling not know what the Sky Emperor was thinking? He pretended that he did not see them and left safely. However, now that they had obtained a treasure, if the Sky Emperor were to spread the news, the experts outside would all target them. Explode. The Sky Emperor knew that if he did not run now, he would not be able to escape. His arms suddenly expanded like the claws of a demon god and clawed at Do Canning. Of course, although he was in the saint level, he was still much weaker than Dou Kening. Dou Kenying's dagger was an assassin's dagger. With a slash, even a saint would fall. Break! Fortunately, the Sky Emperor had already planned to retreat. His huge arm was instantly severed like a lizard's tail. Countless scales burst out and shot into the cave, melting the walls of the cave. Using this opportunity, he rushed out of the cave. Damn it! Dou Kening did not expect his opponent to be so cunning. He shouted angrily and wanted to chase after him. Stop chasing, we can't stay here for long. Leave now. Chapter 3187. Against young Master Yao. Outside the cave, the terrifying battle was getting more and more intense. What was terrifying was that the cultivators from the Great Celestial Mansion and the Cloud Emperor were all injured. In the sky, there was a giant phantom of a demon, and under that phantom, there was an endless amount of mud. It was the realm-devouring beast. A demonic youth stood there, as if the demon emperor had descended. He was young Master Yao. He had joined forces with the ancient demon tribe and defeated the elites from the Great Celestial Mansion. Seeing this, Lin Ling sucked in a breath of cold air and left without a word. However, the Sky Emperor was lucky enough to escape. How could he let Lin Ling and the Cloud Emperor escape? Stop fighting, those two have snatched the most precious treasure. The Celestial Emperor let out a loud shout, causing both sides to stop fighting. Sky Emperor, what do you mean? In the sky, the Cloud Emperor frowned and asked. We've been tricked. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the aureole behind. Those two have taken the nether dragon liquid, which is even more precious than the nether dragon's bones. I saw it with my own eyes when I entered the cave. Sky Emperor. The Sky Emperor shouted again. His words made everyone's expression change, and they were fuming with anger. They had been fighting with their lives on the line, but someone else had stolen an even more precious treasure right under their noses. One had to know that although the nether dragon's bones were precious, the nether dragon liquid was the real treasure. This was because whether it was a dragon or other demon beasts, they would definitely leave their life's essence to the next generation before passing it on to the next generation. The nether dragon liquid was the essence of the nether dragon. In fact, it wasn't just dragons. It was the same for humans. It's them. Sky Emperor. At this moment, the Sky Emperor pointed to the ground, and everyone's eyes fell on Lin Ling and the Cloud Emperor. Damn it! Sky Emperor. Although Lin Ling had sensed this earlier, he was still so angry that he gritted his teeth. He's the one we invited? Sky Emperor. In the sky, the young Master Yao also stared at Lin Ling. Young Master Yao, they seem to be from the Purple Cloud Sword sect. An old man at the side immediately said. Although there were many people who had joined their plan, in fact, this elder knew everyone's background. They're not from the Purple Cloud Sword sect. We've been tricked. The young demon lord's eyes emitted a strange green light as he shot it at Lin Ling. Hand over the accompanying fluid and I will spare your lives. His cold voice immediately spread throughout the sky of the Forbidden Forest. Everyone's eyes were also extremely cold. They knew that those two were dead for sure. After offending the young demon lord, even gods would fall. They had all witnessed young Master Yao's strength before. He was a godlike genius who could suppress a saint. How could those two cockroaches be a match for him? Old Dou, get ready to run. At this moment, Lin Ling also knew that the strongest battle had arrived. However, his eyes were surging with battle intent. In fact, he was looking forward to seeing this powerful genius of the ancient demon race. In the past, Li Xiaoyao had traveled all over the 9 prefectures and defeated all the races. He was a genius with 100 different bloodlines and was a descendant of the gods. He had already developed a proud and arrogant personality. Li Xiaoyao didn't believe that a rising star like young monster lord could be that strong. Rumble. As Do Afterimage ran with Lin Ling also activated the powerful spacetime divine steel. The huge divine steel fell from the sky. It looked like a fifth-grade desolate body, but in fact, it had the aura of an ultimate desolate body. Lasaka Menginan. Seeing this, young demon lord seemed to be honing something. His expression was holy and solemn. The demon god phantom behind him grew larger. A huge demon claw reached towards the sky and blocked the spacetime divine steel's fall. Among the half-sages, you are one of the strongest I have ever seen. Young demon lord also said solemnly. His words made people gasp. This was because they thought that those two were passers-by. Among the half-sages, you are also one of the strongest I have ever seen. Almost at the same time, Lin Ling also said coldly. His arrogance did not diminish. Hearing this, young demon lord laughed. His eyebrows moved and the ground began to turn black. In front of Lin Ling, a huge mouth appeared. The realm-devouring beast had arrived. Young master. Do Afterimage immediately cried out in alarm. No need to panic. You cannot slow down. Lin Ling quickly shouted. Lightning flashed in his eyes as the illusion god True Inheritance burst out. 1,000 transformations. One of the 100 bloodlines, the illusion god True Inheritance, had arrived. In the ancient mountain range, countless Lin Ling and Do Afterimages appeared. They ran in all directions, making it impossible to tell which was real and which was fake. What kind of technique is this guy using? 1,000 transformations? Could he be the successor of the illusion god? The experts in the distance all cried out in alarm. Was this still a passerby? Damn, this was simply a ferocious person. Rumble. The black realm swallowing beast began to devour the countless phantoms, making people extremely nervous. Those two should be dead. However, in the next moment, in another direction, two figures rushed out and ran forward crazily. They had escaped. At this moment, even young demon lord's expression changed drastically. Who was young demon lord? He was one of the 9 states' 10 evils, the son of 10,000 demons of the ancient demon race. Those who fought him were all descendants of gods or the strongest in the 9 states. But now, a nameless brat had actually blocked his attack. It is impolite not to reciprocate. At this moment, Lin Ling's cold laughter rang out again. He was being carried by Do Afterimage, but a 5-meter-long bone bow appeared in his hand. Above his head, the dragon god phantom roared. And this was a real dragon. Compared to young demon lord's demon god, it was like a dragon god clashing with a demon god. Lin Ling's expression was extremely sacred. The dragon bone in his body was roaring. After swallowing the nether dragon companion liquid, he seemed to have transformed into a small dragon. Most importantly, this was a small dragon of the nether dragon level. Young master. Young master. Even Do Afterimage cried out in alarm, feeling as if he was carrying a dragon from the era of gods. Heavenly dragon protection, good karma increases day by day, gather holy karma, Bodhi will not retreat, gods and ghosts assist, peaceful dreams. Lin Ling muttered to himself as the bow in his hand shot out. The 3 arrows intertwined like a dragon's roar. He didn't use the True Inheritance dark sword, because his goal was to leave. If he used the True Inheritance dark sword, he wouldn't be able to take it back. What was terrifying was that after the 3 arrows intertwined, they turned into a huge dragon god and swept towards young demon lord. 8 divine abilities of the dragon race. Seeing this, young demon lord's eyes were filled with shock. He never thought that the youth hidden in his faction would be so strong. All these techniques were left behind from the era of gods. Illusion god True Inheritance, 8 divine abilities of the dragon race. What the hell was this brat? He opened his hands and muttered with a serious expression, Toka ni ma ni. Golden blood began to flow out of his forehead. This blood turned into strange patterns, causing his body to grow larger. His hair also grew longer, and he was actually transforming into a demon god. A demon god was a god with the talent of 10,000 demons. Therefore, he also became a monster. He had the horns of the ox demon, the fangs of the tiger demon, the wings of the eagle demon, the arms of the ape demon, and so on. His arm immediately clawed out fiercely, mixed with the terrifying power of rank. Rumble. Chapter 3188. A breakthrough in strength. Could that guy be from the dragon race? Everyone was shocked, especially the Heavenly Emperor. Especially experts like the Heavenly Emperor, they never thought that the brat's methods would be so terrifying. Boom! However, the young beast master was indeed a young beast master. His cultivation level was higher than Lin Ling's, so he managed to block the Calamity Destroyer bow with a roar. 3 arrows also appeared in his huge palm, and his expression was incomparably cold. In fact, he had underestimated Lin Ling from the start, which led to this scene. His eerie green eyes immediately looked into the distance. However, at this moment, a terrifying demonic aura filled the sky, and a huge, headless elder appeared. His long robe fluttered, and he held a demonic sword in his hand. He looked like he was seeking defeat alone. "Where is my head?" That old voice seemed to be able to shake the world. That sword was like the era of the gods. Bloody light bloomed. Oh no! The young beast master's expression changed. He opened his hands, and countless demons rushed out from his body. There were demon eagles, horse demons, and so on. His body seemed to be hiding endless demons. These demons were like death warriors. They rushed forward and used their strong bodies to block that sword. Whoosh! However, wherever the sword passed, thousands of lives were annihilated. Furthermore, the sword had slashed across young Master Yao's arm, causing his giant ape arm to bleed profusely. He caressed his injured arm and looked at the thousands of demons that had been sliced in half. His expression was abnormally ugly. When he looked at Lin Ling and the Heavenly Emperor again, they had already disappeared into the distance. How terrifying! Where did that person come from? Good and evil combined in one body. He has the heavenly dragon protecting him and the aura of righteousness. He has the demonic sword and the demonic aura. He must be a new genius born in the 9 states. The people around them were trembling. Those two were so cunning. They were clearly so strong, but they pretended to be pigs to eat tigers. The mantis stalked the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Who is that person? The young beast master could not help but ask in a low voice. The son of the devil. Not long after, a serious voice floated out. It was the Heavenly Emperor. His words were like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. The son of the devil, a figure in the news recently. Rumor had it that he had almost killed the gods. It's him. The young demon master was stunned. Suddenly, an evil smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. If it's him, then my loss is justified. Among the half-saints of the 9 prefectures, who else can escape from me? He had obviously heard of the son of devil's name, but it was just a rumor. He didn't believe it before, but after seeing it today, he believed it a little. He even had a feeling that the son of demon hadn't used his full strength yet. Everyone was shocked when they heard young Master Yao's words. Young Master Yao seemed to treat the son of devil as an expert of the same level. This kind of evaluation could be said to be universally shocking. At this moment, Doing was carrying Lin Ling as he madly ran. Lin Ling's face was extremely pale. Previously, it could be said that he had used all his trump cards. Young Master, you actually blocked young Master Yao's attack. Do Afterimage's heart was still in shock. He naturally knew what kind of person the young demon lord was. This was an outstanding genius of the 9 prefectures. And although Lin Ling was also very powerful, he clearly hadn't reached such heights. However, the result was that Lin Ling was actually only slightly weaker than Yao Xiao. He has underestimated his opponent. Moreover, his talent is really terrifying. He has the ultimate desolate physique, which can gather thousands of demons into one body. In addition to his cultivation level, the realm-devouring beast, and so on, if we were to fight force with force, I definitely wouldn't be his match. Lin Ling wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said with a smile. Although he wasn't young Master Yao's match, he had won this battle. Most importantly, he was only at the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm, while young Master Yao was at the later stage of the half-saint realm. Therefore, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. If his cultivation level increased again, then the gap between him and young Master Yao would become smaller and smaller. Moreover, Do Afterimage also thought so. Old Do, find a quiet place. I'm about to break through. Suddenly, Lin Ling let out an anxious voice. Another breakthrough? Hearing this, Do Afterimage was shocked. One had to know that when Lin Ling left the spirit state, he had just broken through. Now, he had broken through again. This cultivation speed was too monstrous. In a dense forest, a bottomless hole was dug out by Lin Ling. Then, he jumped down. Do Afterimage hit at the side of the hole and sealed the entire hole. In the hole, Lin Ling sat cross-legged, and the surface of his body was filled with rolling realm essence. The nether dragon accompanying liquid that he had devoured earlier had all been refined. The reason was because of the all-out battle with young Master Yao. That battle had used up all the realm essence in his 4 dantians. It was because of this that his methods were so sharp. This breakthrough will definitely require a lot of treasures. Fortunately, I've prepared a lot this time. Lin Ling had a confident smile on his face. He took out all the treasures he had obtained from the Purple Cloud Sword sect and continued to refine them. A huge amount of spiritual qi instantly filled Lin Ling's dantian. His 4 dantians, which were originally dry, were now nourished like bamboo shoots after a rain. Godly demon body, flame dantian, dragon dantian, and thunder dantian. His 4 dantians were also becoming larger and larger. At the same time, Lin Ling reluctantly took out the accompanying liquid and carefully licked it a few times. Sensing the rich dragon essence, little Kunlun swam over like a little snake. It raised its little seedling and looked at Lin Ling in an extremely obedient manner. This made Lin Ling smile. He picked up the jade bottle and gently poured some accompanying liquid into little Kunlun. You little fellow. After dotingly stroking little Kunlun's seedling, Lin Ling began to cultivate again. With the addition of the nether dragon accompanying liquid, Lin Ling sensed that his soul force and physical strength were slowly increasing. His soul power was gradually reaching the 8,000 level. As his soul force increased, Lin Ling's illusion god true inheritance's boundary had stabilized. After 100 moves, the 1,000 transformations had increased in range, reaching several thousand miles. Moreover, the number of illusions he could create had also increased, and his defense had also increased. Although the illusions in the past could not be seen through, they were somewhat rigid. Now, the illusions seemed to have gained intelligence, and each of them could perform different actions. I cultivate essence, qi, and spirit. My soul force has always been the strongest. Currently, my cultivation realm and physical strength are the weakest. Otherwise, I would have been able to form a 5th dantian. Lin Ling secretly assessed. According to his estimation, if he reached the late stage of the half-saint realm, he might be able to form a 5th dantian. At that time, he would be one step closer to Li Xiaoyao's strength. This was because Li Xiaoyao was a martial ancestor expert in the past. Then, Lin Ling pushed the remaining power of the accompanying liquid toward the dragon bones. The accompanying liquid was the dragon essence. Using it on the dragon bones would definitely have a better effect. Ka ka ka. Instantly, Lin Ling's bones turned pitch black and emitted the majesty of a dragon. At this moment, a transparent membrane appeared on the surface of his body like an eggshell. It made him look like a small dragon, a true dragon of the dragon clan. Chapter 3189. What a terrifying half-saint tribulation. As for his strength, it had reached the terrifying limit of 500 world forces. His strength and defense had greatly increased. His speed had reached 70 world forces speed. Sensing the changes in his body, Lin Ling was ecstatic. As expected of the nether dragon-associated liquid. However, this was not the end of the pleasant surprise. At this moment, tribulation clouds were rolling in the sky above the ancient forbidden forest. It was as if the gods were angry. This was the arrival of the half-saint tribulation. One had to know that stepping into the fourth layer of the half-saint realm from the third layer of the half-saint realm was a huge leap. The half-saint tribulation was even more terrifying than before. Young master is finally going to break through. On the ground, Dokening had been staring in the direction of Lin Ling's seclusion. He could not help but smile. However, the rolling tribulation clouds in the sky made him feel the pressure. He had traveled all over the 9 prefectures and seen countless half-saint breakthroughs. However, this was the first time he had seen such a suppressed half-saint tribulation. Not far from where Lin Ling was breaking through, there were many 9 prefectures cultivators walking. After sensing the pressure in the sky, they were all stunned. Half-saint realm? How daring! He dares to break through in the ancient forbidden forest. Not everyone can easily break through. Therefore, no one would miss the opportunity to break through. That half-saint realm junior is naturally the same. However, it's hard to say whether he can break through the half-saint tribulation because the demonic beasts in the ancient forbidden forest will definitely stop him. Those experts said indifferently. There were actually many sage realm experts. I estimate that there will only be 5 lightning tribulations. An old man said confidently. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, the half-saint tribulation came crashing down and destroyed everything. That imposing aura directly shocked all the experts. They'd never seen such a terrifying tribulation of a half-saint. Moreover, it was not over. As soon as the first lightning tribulations came crashing down, the second and third lightning tribulations came crashing down. This! Someone exclaimed. 2 lightning tribulations at the same time? It was obviously the first time they had seen such a half-saint tribulation. However, it was still not over. After the 2 lightning tribulations came crashing down, 3 lightning tribulations came crashing down. Fuck! What kind of half-saint tribulation is this? This time, everyone was shocked. The cultivators who were originally hurrying along stopped in their tracks as if they had seen a miracle. Rumble. Not long after, the earth started to shake, and the nearby magical beasts all rushed over. It was like a sea of magical beasts. These magical beasts had clearly sensed that a martial artist was breaking through, and after a martial artist broke through, this was clearly disadvantageous to the magical beasts. Therefore, these demonic beasts were blocking cultivators. This was also a rule that had been left behind in the ancient forbidden forest for many years. Bang 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 bang. However, those magical beasts had just approached when tribulation lightning smashed down from the sky. This time, it was 4 bolts of tribulation lightning. At the moment of impact, tens of thousands of demonic beasts were overturned, and blood flowed like a river in the vicinity. In the end, even the magical beasts didn't dare to approach the forbidden lightning pool. They knew that it was impossible to interrupt that person's breakthrough. The half-saint tribulation's tribulation. But as the martial artists in the distance saw four bolts of tribulation thunder descend, all of them were numb. How was this a half-saint realm breakthrough? It was almost comparable to a sage realm breakthrough. Even Du Kanying was so shocked that his mouth was trembling. If this person succeeds in breaking through, his battle prowess would definitely be able to threaten a sage realm cultivator. I wonder if this person is an old monster or a rising star. Yes, if he is a rising star, that would be terrifying. Look, it's not over yet. 5 lightning tribulations. This is the final tribulation. Everyone turned to look at the sky. Dark clouds loomed over them. It was extremely terrifying. The final tribulation had arrived. At this moment, not only the demonic beasts, but even the cultivators around them were extremely nervous. Of course, they did not want that person to break through. This was because no one wanted to be above their heads. However, due to their status, they could not make a move. After all, many of them were sect leaders. They could not bring themselves to attack a half-saint realm cultivator. How cruel. One person ascends to the heavens, leaving no one alive? For the peace of the 9 states, we must capture this person. However, even though the elders could not make a move, it did not mean that their disciples could not. Someone walked out coldly. Following that, more and more people spoke out one after another. These people were all at the half-saint realm, so they were naturally jealous of that half-saint realm cultivator who was undergoing the tribulation. Of course, they were not stupid. They did not make a move for now because they intended to interrupt that person's breakthrough at the most critical moment. Rumble. The 5 lightning tribulations continued to smash down and actually formed a huge 5 lightning lotus on the ground. The soil on the ground was completely overturned, and a huge eggshell was gradually revealed. However, the eggshell was trembling at this moment. It was enveloped by the 5 lightning lotus and seemed as if it would be turned into ashes at any moment. Good. Someone immediately smiled excitedly. If one failed to overcome such a terrifying tribulation, then it wouldn't be as simple as chi deviation. It was even possible that one's soul would be destroyed. Moreover, when they saw that the lightning in the surroundings was weakening and had all gathered on the 5 lightning lotus, those restless people finally made a move. They leaped forward and attacked the 5 lightning lotus with all their strength. How dare you! At this moment, Du Kanying roared, transformed into a shadow, and shot forward. Never had he imagined that someone would suddenly launch a surprise attack. Earlier, his gaze had locked onto the devil beasts in the surroundings, so he'd overlooked these despicable people. Senior, this person's killing intent is too dense. If we don't stop him, he'll definitely become a demon of the 9 states. Exactly. Senior, please look at the devil beasts that died under the tribulation lightning. These devil beasts are innocent. Even though Du Kanying had made a move, those people who'd launched a surprise attack still spoke with a strong sense of righteousness. Such words were undoubtedly very sarcastic. How many devil beasts had died at their hands when they'd ventured into the forbidden forest? Shut up. Du Kanying was instantly furious. How could he believe these people? However, someone had gotten too close to the 5 lightning lotus and was directly wrapped by the lightning and electrocuted to death. Actually, that person had wanted to see if he could obtain some treasures, so he'd approached the 5 lightning lotus. However, he'd lost his life in the end instead of obtaining any treasures. Senior, look. Another innocent person has died. Those half-saints who'd attacked spoke furiously when they saw this. It was like the 5 lightning lotus was brewing a demon, and they intended to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. All of you, get lost. Du Kanying didn't even bother to speak nonsense. His killing intent erupted, and every time a cold light flashed, a life would be reaped by him. How cruel! Everyone, attack the 5 lightning lotus. Don't get entangled with that senior. Master, help us. Sect Master, someone wants to kill us. The disciples of the various sects roared. Since things had come to this, they'd obviously thrown caution to the wind. This caused the eyes of the experts of the various sects to flicker. They wanted to attack Duquesne. Rumble. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.